PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcast that's here to really try to put some kindness in your ears and warm some kindness in your heart. Maybe you could take your hand and hold it against your chest, or fold your hands, or wrap your blankets around you a little bit tighter, and take a breath and give some kindness to yourself. And maybe we could give some kindness out tomorrow. But for now, I'm here to help you rest and get some sleep. I'm your friend, your boyfriend. I'm here to help. And why am I telling you this? Because it's time for Sleep With Me, a podcast that's here to put you to sleep. Hey, everybody, before we move forward, I just want to let you know that the reason Sleep With Me exists is because I know how it feels to not be able to sleep in the deep, dark night, and I have compassion for you and empathy, and not only because I've been there, because I know it doesn't feel good. And as I've learned more about what that means and kind of looked at my actions and changes I need to make, it really deepens my connection with other people, the community around the show, the community I live in, and the community on this planet. So if you have extra needs right now, there's links to resources in the show notes. And if you want to be a part of positive change, say Black Lives Matter, say stop AAPI hate with your actions, address other things that are important to you and the members of your community, treating people with dignity and respect. And then going beyond that, there's links to resources you can connect with in the show notes, because you're important. And that's why I make this show. Your sleep's important, but you are too. So that's just, that's what I'm here I can't say any more than that. So thanks for being here. And here's the ways. These sponsors are how I'm able to be here for you for free twice a week. Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots here. I'm trying to make these patron pre-rolls as quick as I can. I know it's a tough time. We're all expected to be resilient, which is not easy or natural. We all need our sleep. And I don't know, it's not been easy for me, so I know it hasn't been easy for any of you or your families and stuff like that. We just passed 1,000 episodes, and I still care about the mission of the podcast, being here for free twice a week. I've been making this show since 2013, and I know a lot of listeners put a lot of work into supporting the work that goes into the podcast. So if you're in a position to do so, you want to be a rebel with the cause, please think about becoming a patron, especially if you listen to Sleep With Me a lot, multiple episodes a night, multiple episodes a week, and just think about all the value in Sleep With Me provides and compare it to other stuff that you pay for. Maybe there is a subscription you don't use for music or a streaming service, and you could cancel that and sign up and support Sleep With Me. It would be a huge help. I invite you to just think about that. Think about, is there a service I use much less than Sleep With Me that I'm paying for every single month? This came from a lot of feedback from 2 months ago from patrons who said, I actually saved money because I canceled a streaming service I was paying $20 for, or $15 for, and I supported Sleep With Me as an annual patron for less, and I listen to Sleep With Me every night. So I invite you to consider becoming a patron if you're in a position to do so. If you become an annual patron, you can save money. You probably could save money if you look at subscription services you're not using compared to how often you use Sleep With Me. And you could sign up to become a patron at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/PATRON. And there's nothing wrong with not being able to be a patron or not being in a position to do so. The show is still going to be coming out. Be here for you for free twice a week. I'll be still here putting in the work because I love it, because I care, and because I've been there. So thanks so much. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Apollo Neuro. You've heard me talk about this device. I went this summer. I didn't bring my Apollo Neuro when I was out of town on a family road trip, and I really missed it. I could even see it with my tracking on my watch of my HRV. But if you haven't heard of Apollo Neuro, it's a new wearable that helps you sleep more and stress less. It's absolutely amazing. Apollo Neuro's proven technology helps calm your nerves and clear your mind, melting away stress so you can sleep. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system. It uses touch therapy to help you wind down into a restful state without drugs or side effects. I use it as part of my wind down, and then I also use the sleep mode. It's worn on the wrist or the ankle, and Apollo Neuro delivers silent, soothing vibrations that help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Apollo Neuro was developed by a neuroscientist and board-certified psychiatrist who has been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. Apollo's. Apollo's effects have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies, and according to our research, Apollo Neuro users experience on average 19% more time in deep sleep, 14% increase in REM sleep, and 40% less stress and feelings of anxiety. And you can get 10% off your Apollo Neuro today at apolloneuro.com/sleepwithme. That's 10% off at apolloneuro.com/sleepwithme. apolloneuro.com/sleepwithme. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you to hear. It's where I pop my peas, if you please. I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors. Let the sponsors know about it via social media or email. Used our code. Those things in combination, that's how we keep sponsors around, keep the show free. And that's why I take the time to thank listeners like Laura, Junior P, and Jacqueline B. Now, not only did Laura get some sweet peach and some rose scented products from Native, got multiple of the sweet peach because it smelled so good. Laura introduced Junior P to Native, so supported a sponsor, told a sponsor about it by posting on Instagram, and then brought Junior P into the fold. So holy cow, talk about paying it forward. And then Jacqueline B also supported Native, let them know about it. A repeat customer, I think, as well. So thank you, Laura, Junior, and Jacqueline. Holy cow, all of you smell so good. Even unscented, it is amazing. Thanks for supporting the sponsor. If you support a sponsor, let them know about it. Let me know about it. Fill out the form at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors, or just tag me in a social media post, and I'll try to thank you here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need. If you have extra needs right now, there's links to resources you can connect with right now in the show notes, including global resources. So please use those links right in our show notes. It's about supporting the members of our community, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop AAPI hate with our actions. And that's also the third part of Sleepy Supporter Zone. Is an organization I support, and I support Migrant Justice. And you can head over to migrantjustice.net to support them or learn more. It's pretty simple. They're organizing for economic justice and human rights. They're working hard on the Milk with Dignity program, and you can find out more and support them at migrantjustice.net or use the link in our show notes. That's the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna, like Banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing trouble, getting to sleep trouble, staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, time, temperature, changes in routine, travel, work, play, whatever it is, I'm here to help. It could just be, stuff, annoying outside noises, whatever it is. I really, truly, genuinely am here to help you. And now this podcast, it doesn't work for everybody. If you're new, give it a few tries. But also, don't try to make too much sense of this. This intro is not going to make a whole lot of sense. It'll just barely make sense. That's kind of how the podcast works. But here's what I'm going to try to do is try to create a safe place, as I said. I'm going to smooth it. I'm going to pat it. I'm going to rub it down. I'm going to send my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, which I think you could hear pretty clearly. Pointless meanders, rustified tangents, mishandled metaphors. I don't think there's been, in all the days of metaphors, there's never been someone who's mishandled their metaphors. Also mislabeled them, and even missing metaphors, metaphors you'll miss. But I'm also something like if I sang ballads like yacht rock, you know what yacht rock is? I think I'd sing like if I was, I don't know, it's Christopher Cross. Is he one of the people that sings those kind of ballads? I would sing a song about missing metaphors. Seriously, I would sing, I don't know if it'd be straight up love ballad. I think more of like power. Is that a power ballad? Maybe I should save these questions for a little while. Has anyone written a love song to a metaphor? I guess we'll know. Maybe we'll probe that in a minute. But if you're new, welcome. Let me tell you about the structure of the show, just so you have because that's what I just do. So the show starts off with a few minutes of business. That's how we keep the show going and free. Then there's an intro, which I just started. The intros are around 12 minutes or so. It's kind of like a monologue where I mishandle things. I mean, basically, my metaphors and everything else. Like normally, a normal intro, you could say, boom, this is the podcast that puts you to sleep. I'm going to do it. I got candles. I got sleep grease. I got incantations. I got, whatever. I have sublime, I don't have any of that though. I have intuition, no superstition. And, with the power of Titian, I'm putting you to sleep. That would be welcome to, sleep pros or something. It'd be PROS. I think I try to use sleepy prose. I mean, as I just said, I put my prose to sleep even. But that'd be, we're a sleep team. Shing. And then it has some, we got sympathetic vibrations. We got them. So that might be another podcast. This one, I try to do that in 1 or 2 minutes. It takes me about 12. But what I found is during the intro, some people start to unwind. They listen as they go through the bedtime routine, or they get in bed and they start to wind down. Other people fall asleep during the intro. And some people skip the intro. They say, hey, I want to get to the bedtime story. So they know to jump ahead like 14 minutes or so. But the intro's really job is to try to establish some rapport, make you feel welcome, and that this is a safe place. It's a little bit different place, but it's safe. And that, I'm a mishandler and a bit of a goofball to barely not put a smile on your face, but bring your face to a neutral position. Maybe your shoulders, they feel a little bit relaxed. Maybe your cushion, maybe you get a little bit more snug in bed. So that's the intro. Then there's a story. Tonight will be kind of a retrospective of episodes 500 through 600 of the podcast, looking back to kind of celebrate passing episode 700. So it'll be fun. It'll be like just a quick saying, what was that episode? Because I just recorded it and I'm doing the intro now. I say, whoa, this happened like 17 times. What was that episode about? That I made interesting title. And then I say, well, interesting. I'm still not remembering it. So that's what it'll be. A bit of a bedtime story. If you're new, here's the other things to know. No pressure to fall asleep. I'm going to be here for an hour to keep you company. So you can fall asleep whenever you want. Also, no pressure to listen. This will be barely engaging. Ideally, just enough to take your mind off of stuff. But not interesting enough where you're like, well, I got to hear when Scooter forgets the title of his own podcast episode's about. I can't miss that. I'm sure the regular listeners would be hardy har-harring right now because they'd say, well, they kind of, you'll get used to that if you stick around in these parts. I also like to say Oshkosh Bagosh, though I haven't said in a while, so I was just throwing that out there. Oh, boy. In the past 700 episodes, I probably said, oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, I probably said, and and I know, like, and stuff a few million times. But I'm here to help. I'm here to keep you company because I've been there. And I truly believe you deserve a good night's sleep. And I want to help because when I have trouble sleeping, it's not pleasant. And I think if I could help you take your mind off that, make you feel comfortable and validated, it sucks if you can't sleep. And I really would like to help. So let's see how it goes. I'm going to be here to keep you company. And who am I? What qualifies me to make a sleep podcast that puts people to sleep other than having trouble sleeping? What kind of person is making this podcast? Kind of person that would think about for the next 3 or 4 or 5 or 2 minutes, what would go into a love ballad, power ballad, a yacht rock song, an 80s music number to metaphors. And well, one, I mean, I'm sure there's poetry about people loving metaphors, but has anyone written any love songs for metaphors? Like Angel is a metaphor or something, that really catchy pop song. I guess I would say, cool, if you have an obscure song about metaphors, I'll check it out. Send it to I don't have any people, so send it to those people, send it to my people. I mean, I think it would be different than an ode. Here's the thing. Would a love song to metaphors contain metaphors, and would that be weird? Here's another question. If we did that, do metaphors get jealous? I mean, here's a broader question. Maybe we have not answered is, are metaphors sentient? My brain is, I think my brain's packing up and going somewhere. And it's also palming its forehead. But I think those are fair questions. Oh, okay, if you're not ready for that, brain, hold on, put that suitcase down. Where did you get that suitcase? I didn't realize there was a leather suitcase in my brain for my brain to pick up. What do you have in there, like socks and underwear? I'll get back to the metaphors. Okay, yeah, I was going to say, brain, have a seat, sit on that bed there. Also, I didn't realize my brain had its own twin bed. Yeah, here's something, brain, to think about. Can a metaphor be loved and feel loved is the biggest question. And you could use a tree falling in the woods. Yes, you could use a tree falling in the woods, a metaphor for that. You don't know exactly how it would connect to it, but I'd say, can a metaphor be loved and be beloved? Yes. Can a metaphor feel love? Who are we to ask, I would say. And if I was witty, I would have a metaphor tucked right in there to whatever, but I don't. Let me just do a check-in because I'm getting some similes. How are you feeling about all this? Is this okay? Or are you feeling like a scorned something or other? Hardy har har. At least with similes, it's a little easier. No, I'm not pandering to you. What if we here, come on. I'll take one hand, I'll hold my hand with a simile, and my other hand, I'll hold a hand with a metaphor. And I'll say, you know what? There's the truth. I can't write music. I can't write songs. Can't sing on this podcast, but I do. If I had the ability, if we could choose anyone, who would we choose to sing you both a song? Would it be Michael McDonald? Would it be somehow the person who sang the Top Gun song, who's now I'm forgetting? Would it be Neil Cicada? Christopher Cross? Who modern would we have sing to you? Would it be someone? Do you have? What about Zayn? How do you feel about Zayn? And not or someone else? Okay, well, we don't have to decide it. I was just imagining who we'd have sing you a song. Maybe Bette Midler. She doesn't sing power ballads. What about like the Eurythmics? I could see how okay, you're holding my hands a little bit tighter. Okay, maybe just Annie Lennox singing a song. I like it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it so much. Actually, was Sweet Dreams made of this? Was that a song? Was that a love song to Metaphors? Because without you, Metaphors and Similes, of course. Yeah, because even when I accidentally say metaphors, I mean metaphors and similes. Oh boy, there's a knocking at one part. There's a bunch of narrative devices outside my brain's door. Oh, and all other narrative devices that Annie Lennox would sing to. Without you, dreams would not be possible, though dreams are already disagreeing with me. As I hold your hand, metaphor. Okay, let me just. I didn't realize there was so many people with that want to skin in this Annie Lennox song about. There was just supposed to be, no offense, simile, love song to metaphors, which you could say is like a love song to similes. Not funny. Okay, go ahead. That's okay. I'll make it up to you, simile. Okay, please don't let any of those other narrative devices in there, because I don't even know. Is that an onomatopoeia? What? Okay, okay. A metaphor, I'm back. So I think it's probably best if Annie Lennox just sings a song to you. Yeah, it would be beautiful. It would be loving, and would express really my love and gratitude for you to help me, because without the podcast, because here's how the podcast works. I don't think this would be for the Lenny Annex song. Also, sorry, Metaphor, that's actually who I booked to sing the song, because I was looking at the price quotes, and I said, oh, I could afford Lenny Annex to sing you a song. Like, look at songwriting by Lenny Annex. Those prices I can afford those prices. So it'll be a power ballad by Lenny Annex to Metaphors. I forgot what the point I was going to make. Well, the podcast wouldn't exist without you, Metaphors, especially because I try to take the whole intro and make a metaphor to explain to people, hey, this is a podcast you don't need to listen to. And by trying to make a metaphor, I show that I'm not qualified to make a metaphor, which I don't want to be too out, maybe a metaphor within itself. Oh, it's an example. Okay, well, I don't have to click on the Lenny Annex. Oh, I'm telling you, what if that's like a secret name? What is that, a pseudonym for Annie Lennox? Like her side gigs. So she says, well, this is where I really write my juiciest material is as Lenny Annex. Well, you're not so sure. Well, do you feel loved? Because seriously, I love you, Metaphor. Well, okay, good. Can you feel it? Okay. We'll just rest here in my arms. Yeah, like a sloth in my arms. Beautiful. So, hey, I'm back, everybody. I'm holding a metaphor. I guess it's weird, but I'm holding a metaphor that looks like a sloth in my arms. Maybe it's a metaphor for all metaphors. And in some way, I'm holding it and holding it close and rocking it. Is it asleep? Because I was going to say it's a bit of proxy for you that I hope I can keep you here close and rested. And where you say, okay, this feels pretty good. This feels like Annie Lennox just wrote a song for me to say I'm loved, to say I'm respected, to say I deserve a good night's sleep. So I appreciate you coming by. If this is your first few times here, give it a few tries. This podcast's a bit different. Doesn't work for everybody, but it's harmless. So give it a shot and see how it goes, or a couple shots. But I'm glad you're here, and I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thank you so much for coming by. I strive and I yearn to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple of ways we keep the show a-going. Hey, everybody, Scoots. Before we move on here, I just want to let you know about sleep phones. I don't know if you've ever checked out our sleep phone store lately, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. We've got custom sleep phones. We've got a bunch of new bands you could check out. It's the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me. Soft headphones in a headband, perfect for bedtime. They have 3 different models, a corded one, a wireless one, and then one with wireless charging. Listeners love them. I love them. I run in sleep phones. I use sleep phones when I sleep on the road. I keep a pair in my suitcase all the time. And you could get yours, the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me, at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. And be sure to use the promo code Sleep With Me. It'll save you a little bit of money on your order. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones, and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. All right, hey everybody, it's Scoots here, and I guess it's going to be a kind of Tuesday meandering style episode. I don't know where this is going to go, but this is an episode to sleepily celebrate 700 episodes. And I don't know if this will come out on episode 700 or when it'll come out. It's August 2nd when I'm recording this, and usually I record a little bit further out, but it looks like we'll hit that number in the next few weeks. So I said, let's get a 700 episode out. And we'll take a meandering retrospective. I think the last time we did this was episode 500, though it may have been episode 600. But I think 600, we were just chugging along, and we went from 500 to 700. But I'm not exactly sure about that. Yeah, but up front, I just want to thank you for, if you're asleep, that's great. I'm here. Let me tuck in a little bit and just to enjoy your sleepy breathing there. But if you're a regular listener and you're listening to this during the day or you're still up, thank you so much for just listening to the show. If you're listening to the show and you've given it a shot, I really, really appreciate your time and you taking the leap of faith or just a need to give the show, to say, let me listen to this, and then to stick with it. Because the podcast is a bit different, and say, oh, this does help put me to sleep or soothe me, or for those of you to keep you company in the deep, dark night, or those of you that do daytime listening for cooling out or just relaxation or background noise, thank you. So I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your commitment to me. Those of you that have gone beyond listening and interacted with me, shared your stories with me, supported me with your words, and the huge thing is just sharing the show by word of mouth. I'm really grateful for that. The show has grown because of you, and you've probably helped someone else fall asleep, and you've helped me keep going, and you've really validated the hard work I pour into the show by telling me the impact you have on the show or sharing the show or just being kind. The kindness and encouragement are such powerful things, especially that encouragement. And I've learned so much, so I want to thank you for that. So those of you that have interacted with me or just spread the word about the show silently, I know you're out there. You don't have to let me know. I'm still grateful and thank you. So thank you for that. And then I want to thank all of you that have supported the show financially. Those of you that have purchased things from sponsors, supported the show on a one-time thing. And particularly in those of you that support the show on a regular, ongoing, monthly basis, the show would, I say this, but it's true, it wouldn't exist without you. I'm so grateful because my ability to make the show comes from you and to sustain the show. And that you've taken that step and saying, well, I get something out of this, let me support it. Not only does it mean a lot to me, it really means the existence of the podcast. So Sleep With Me in its current state over the past 3 years now, I think it would have stopped. And without the people supporting the show on a regular basis, and those who support the sponsors are a huge help too. because Casper and Brooklyn are with us on a regular basis, and Sleep Phone's a little bit different commission thing, but it still is a big help. That's what keeps the show and covered. So thank you for taking that big, rare action step of validating that the podcast has concrete value to you. And I hope you do feel really special and good about it, because you should. And when you're taking that step, there is no small step, because it is like the percentage of you that do that are giants in my book. So thank you for that. And everyone, again, to circle back, though, thank you for this opportunity. I've learned so much, and I've heard so many stories, and I've been able to be of service and take something that I enjoy doing and to help people that are in a situation that I really can relate to. And I really stress that on the show. It's like, you deserve a good night's sleep, and this is a way I think I can help by distracting you with stories. And so you're really giving me an opportunity to really explore things. So what I propose to do is just, I'm going to just go into Radio Public, because they have a nice way of listing the show all in a row. And then I'm going to scroll back. I'm going to pause it here. I'll go back to episode 501, just like the Blue Jeans, and we'll start there. Okay, so looking back here and looking at the 499, 500, 501, and 502 episodes, and that is a good place to check out if you're new. 499 was the first episode of season 2 of Superdoll. And that was a pretty creative high point. Then 500 is a TNG episode. That was fun. 501 is a very, very personal episode. So if you want to know more about me and my journey, that's probably a good episode to check out. And then 502 is our lulling retrospective of the first 500 episodes, which maybe I'll run that for Labor Day instead of maybe, I don't know. I guess I'll have to look at when we're going to hit episode 500 or 700. So that starts with our review here. So episode 503 was Family. At the Picard edition, I broke the Star Trek The Next Generation episode into, it was such a dense episode about family, about Picard's family and Worf's family, that I broke it into 2 episodes. Then Phil Fushigi, Riventine, was a kind of a tribute episode I did for my brother and me, just because I love those guys and I love that podcast. And they really are as wonderful people and as funny as they sound like on the show, those 3 brothers, those goofs. So that was a fun episode to do, because that was a 2017, I think it was Justin wanted to be the Riventine, 20 Riventine, but I can't remember what they ended up, and I don't know, how did they end up? I think they were talking about Fushigi balls. So that was that. Then Project Platypus was another Superdoll Stories, and Superdoll Stories was, the first half of the season was like a look back at kind of the origin stories of some of the Superdoll characters, and which was a team of superheroes just sitting around. That was the initial season 1 early on in the history of the podcast. A team of superheroes sitting around waiting to something. Then there's an ad for Tripod, which was a March 2017, a kind of way to try to get more people to listen to podcasts. Then we had Worf's Family Edition, episode 506. Episode 507 was a crossover tribute to Rob Has a Podcast. Actually, the only podcast I listen to about reality TV, about TV show Survivor. And again, Rob, just like the person, he's just a really great guy and a really, really enjoyable podcast. And again, another podcast similar to My Brother and Me, Night Vale. A lot of other podcasts I love is like that a podcast done well can be about whatever you want it to be, but can actually serve people that mainstream something they can go really deep. I think John Green said that once on a panel was lucky enough to be on him with. It can go deep instead of wide, and I think Rob's particularly good at that. Then we had The Siren and the Professor, another Superdoll story. I don't know whose story that was. The Siren and the Professor. Well, I think that was, I don't know. Been a while. Then The Inner Light was one of the biggest and most beloved Star Trek The Next Generation episodes. And Lauren from Criminal Podcast recommended that one to me along with a lot of other people. So it was a real fun episode to do. Then 510 was Lorna Doones, which is weird because I just performed this as a live show, like a live version of it. That was a trending Carole King episode. I don't think it was the first one, but it was, an on and off thing we do. So that was Lorna Doones. Then Goldbug was another Superdoll story. Not sure, again, I guess it's been a while since I've recorded those ones. Then a Sleep with TNG episode, Hide and Q. I always love the episodes with Q. John Delancey's brilliant. So that was cool. Then 513, Under the Orlando Eye. That was like an on-location episode from the Orlando Eye, a big Ferris wheel in Orlando on a kind of rainy, misty day. And I was on that with my brother and my mom. And that was really fun. And it was fun to be able to get permission to do that. I was like, holy cow, I'm really lucky. Then 514, we had a Boastmaster, which is another Superdoll story. I have a feeling that was whoever the rival was, Boastmaster. Then 515, Data's Day, another really fun episode. I think there's even a comic about Data's Day. 516 was Gaga and the Nightbirds, which was my fictionalized version of Lady Gaga's Super Bowl halftime performance. So that was cool. Then we had Goonies Week, which was something we really, I don't know if we've done anything like that again. But we had 3 Goonies-themed episodes in a row. Good Enough to Save Earth, that was a Superdoll story. I think with like a Goonies undertones. Then we had my Tales of the Tape and my memories of Goonies the movie, trying to remember the plot. Which I think not long after that, I went to the movie theater and saw it, like a double feature. And then we did a live unboxing of the Goonies game, which came in like one of the DVD editions somebody gave me as a gift. Then we did, so this must have been a break from TNG, a short little break. Then we did Quit Running, another Superdoll story. Then A View to a Kitten, a tale of a tape of about a James Bond movie that I liked. Then another like an on-location episode from Sea Life Orlando. Faux Cousteau visits Sea Life Orlando. I like that rhyme, Scoots. And so that was a fun little episode that we did in a cool aquarium, which gave me a lot of material. Then in Soft Scripted Heroes, another Superdoll Stories episode. And then Back to the Future Tale of the Tape, which I definitely didn't remember Back to the Future at all correctly. Then 525 was Spruce Museum, another really personal fantasy, but also personal episode. Another kind of creative strong point for the show, which was based on, like, I like to make... sometimes when I would fantasy play outside in my yard, I guess particularly after I'd been to a museum, I would make my own museums out in the yard for fun. So it's kind of based on that type of play you do as a kid or as an adult, or people get to do it as jobs, which is amazing. Then we did a review of Superdoll. I think I wanted to do it in a sauna, but I ended up having to do it in a hotel room, where I was waiting for a sauna to warm up. But I definitely did this from a hotel room. I can picture the hotel room. And with Superdoll, I think I probably talked about this in the review. That's episode 526 is like, it was a harder series to do because there were so many characters that I said, the first half of the season, we did their backstories. So it was concentrating on one character. But that was an early series. And I said, I don't know how well this translates to the sleep podcast with that many characters. But I did find it an enjoyable season, especially with their backstories. It was just when we got to the present day, that was a little bit harder because I said, well, I don't know. It's just hard to switch from all these different perspectives. It must have been halfway through the season, though, because I see some more Superdolls coming up here. Maybe that was the season 1 review. I don't know. That's interesting. Then 527, A Matter of Time, another good Star Trek The Next Generation episode. 528 was Ray, beloved character, my neighbor, visiting the Universal Studios tour. 529 was Hydrox, Enneagrams, and Dumplings. That was another Superdoll review, I think, because it's talking about the Enneagram, which I used a lot, or Enneagram. That's interesting because there's 3 reviews of Superdoll. Or maybe that was this Superdoll season. Then Cause and Effect, which was a TNG episode. Then Florida Water Table from Podfest, or about Podfest, which is a podcast conference in Florida, in Orlando, that I'd gone to in February. And really Chris K and Katie K. And I got to meet some wonderful people, Jessica and Diane, and make a lot of good friends, Jonathan, Shell, so many people, so many great people. It was just a cool conference. It was really outside of my comfort zone, and everybody made me feel welcome there. So I did an episode like based on the business cards I got while I was there. Then 532, Control Over Your Soup. That's another Superdoll review. So maybe I did like I think I was reading right through the notes. So it was a really dense, maybe review. Then we did the Perfect Mate, which was a Sleep With TNG episode. That was a really good one. It was one of my favorite episodes. Really good, really, really great episode. Check it out if you haven't already. It's the episode of TNG, not my episode about it. Then we had a imaginary walking tour of the La Brea Tar Pits, which I had recorded right after I'd been there in a closet in an Airbnb. Then Endless Introduction. I don't think this is our first Endless Introduction. There may have been like intro after intro after intro after intro. And those have turned out to be pretty popular. I do it during holidays, and then I think $10 and our patrons get 2 all intro episodes a month. So really cool. But I know a lot of people are big fans of the intro. Then 536, Measure of a Man. That's from Sleep With TNG. That's a really classic data-based episode. Salad in Real Time. That was a real-time recipe episode about making salads. And then this was a new series, Big Farm in the Sky, Private Eye. This was a series I really, really enjoyed making about someone that went to the big farm in the sky and became a private eye when they got there. And he got help from someone back and not in the big farm in the sky, his niece and her best friend. And the niece and the best friend were kind of tribute to Georgia and Karen from MFM podcast, who have always been big supporters of Sleep With Me. Then 539, we did The Game, another fun episode because it has some action and Risa from Star Trek The Next Generation. Then an on-location episode, Dusk, featuring Slurp and DJ Echo Bass. And that was a fun one. I don't know when I recorded that, maybe in February 2017. But that was a cool episode. Yeah, because I think I was there twice in 2017 in February. And it was a fun episode to make, and we don't release publicly on location episodes anymore with the ambient noise, but they are like, if you ever look at our Patreon goals, they do get released based on how many patrons we hit and stuff. Case of the Missing Moose from Big Farm PI. That was a good, fun episode. That was his second case. And then another Q episode, Deja Q with Sleep with TNG, a good classic, I would say. Then episode 453, Daydream to Believe in. I don't know what this episode is. I think it must be a Trending Tuesday style episode. Is that? Oh, no. Okay, now I'm starting to remember. I think this is the one where I'm thinking, yeah, it's like based on my walk to work. And like I was daydreaming, yeah, and I ran it like where my walk to work, where I get fully immersed in the daydream. Then 544 was Yellow Snow Mystery, which was a Big Farm in the Sky PI episode, and that was a really enjoyable one. I really had a lot of fun with the Big Farm in the Sky PI episodes. I'm sure it'll come back at some point soon, though I don't have a date on that. But that one was just taking these ideas of like, what would a mystery be if it was a sleepy bedtime story and it occurred, after someone made their way to the Big Farm in the Sky. Then we have The Offspring, another data-centric Star Trek The Next Generation episode, another really heartfelt one. Bored Chromeless, Trending Tuesday style episode. I don't know what this one's about. As we hear some history about salons. So I don't know what happens in that episode. I mean, I'm just guessing that it was like one of those seminar episodes where you would rent the podcast out to the boredom seminar people. Then another one, Missing Music Box, Big Farm PI, where they were looking for a music box. And that was a two-parter because G, the niece based on Georgia, was a tribute to, was missing her music box. And it was like, it's a music box in this world, the Earth world, or the Big Farm world. The next phase, I'm trying to think what the next phase was, Sleep with TNG. And I can't think of it. It sounds like it would, was that one with, I think it was the one with Jordy and, let me see if I could open it in a new tab here. Because I think it was with Jordy and Rowe, Ensign Rowe. They get phased out and then phased back in. At 5:49, Bernie the Butterfly came by the podcast to talk about 5 seconds of summer swag. And I can remember being in my car and parking at work and maybe listening to the first cut of this. And trying to figure out, trying to look up swag about 5 seconds of summer. But Bernie the Butterfly is like a grouchy butterfly that comes by sometimes. And he really loves 5 seconds of summer. Yeah, 550 was Sleepy Seahorse Cove, which was, again, the conclusion of the Missing Music Box. And G... or maybe it's DK's Missing Music Box. I actually don't know whose music box was missing. But we're coming up on my favorite episode of Big Farm PI. 551, Imaginary Friend. Wow, that was June 18th, 2017. Doesn't feel that long ago. But man, yeah, we've been through a lot since June 20. But so that was a fun episode about an imaginary friend. Star Trek, this is TNG. Then 552 was Slowly Flying Through the Fearless Flyer, where we read through a Fearless Flyer, I guess it's probably for spring or winter of 2017. We don't do those anymore except on Patreon just because it's free advertising for somebody. And I figured, well, but those are really fun episodes, and you could check our goals out and see. Now, this was one of my favorites, 553, The Dog That Chased the Moon. It was a dog that just was at the big farm in the sky, but just kept trying to chase the moon. And that was I guess the mystery was, I don't know what the mystery was, why or how to stop. I think the mystery was, can you get this dog to stop chasing the moon? It may be always part of it is, why is the dog chasing the moon? And then, it was spoiler. And then it was like, can we get the dog to the moon? And I think it all, of course, got resolved and tied up in a bow. It's funny looking at all the episode lengths because everything is like over an hour, which is like, I think the sweet spot, 1 hour and 1 minute or like somewhere in there. Though we can't always hit that. Then Rascals, that was a fun TNG episode. Blue Light Special, that was a look back and another adventure with my good friend Morley Safer, who occasionally we had adventures with. This is a look back at an adventure with Morley, who is in the reporting from the big farm now. And it had to do with missing, I guess it was another mystery, but not a big farm mystery. It's like the blue lights from Kmart. We were investigating that, missing blue lights from Kmart's. Then another big farm, waiting for Steve Jobs, which was a fun episode too. It was like about, for people that are fans of iOS, Apple products, there was like different places in the big farm for them to live. Depending on what iteration, were they like the Candy Mac people, the more gleaming white Mac, or more of the chrome, whatever, metal type, silver, space gray. I don't know if we had a space gray back then, but that was a cool, fun episode to do. Then we did Elementary Dear Data, which was that's a fun episode. Then for the 4th of July, we had all intro episodes, just like this year. And for July 6th, so I could take a little time off, was another intro episode. Because it's like, other than Thanksgiving and the holidays, New Year and Christmas holidays is the slowest time of the year for listening. But I still want to have stuff out, for everybody. Then we did the TNG episode Tapestry, which I think is another, I guess I get that and Perfect Mate mixed up. When I think about Tapestry, I think about Perfect Mate, and then I think about the Perfect Mate for my ears, which is Carole King. Well, let's see what that is about. Oh, Jean-Luc, this is when he goes back to his childhood, or to his time at the academy. So that was a decent episode. I guess the tapestry of our lives. Then 561 was the conclusion of the Blue Light adventure with Morley, Distilled Blue Light Blues, which was a good, solve a case with mystery. Then it was 562, Curse of the Cursing Notebooks. That was a big farm in the sky adventure that had some personal connections to notebooks, and kind of attempt at a personal healing journey. So I liked that one. Then 563 was a Game of Thrones season 6 recap. I think like getting ready for the kickoff of Game of Thrones. So I think what happened with that one was that was a new episode that I actually ran through Game of Thrones. Let me just see, though. Let me take a look. I don't know if it was a repeat or a new episode. Oh, yeah. And that had a very popular, the Glee Duster is the intro for that one. That's a very popular intro. 564, Sands Day at the Beach. That was a Trending Tuesday episode. And that was a memorable one. It was just a picture of people getting ready to go, like a uncle and his nieces and nephews getting ready to spend the day at the beach from a view of a grain of sand. So that was a fun one to make. Then Callie and the Clones, that was a big farm episode. which was a really enjoyable episode that I kind of barely remember. Then we kicked off season 7 of GOT, and with Dragonstone. I think I recorded that on on the road. I mean, I remember watching the episode twice on the road, and I was excited for that season to kick off. I mean, we're waiting for the next one. I think it comes out next year. Then we had My Life with HBO, which was a look back at like HBO's impact on me, and me looking through TV guides from that period to see what was on HBO that I might have watched as a kid. This was another Big Farm episode, The Case of the Outshining Crown, which is, who's going to be wear the brightest crowns and think about that. And really kind of a journey starting with the Big Farm into like these more archetypal, childlike ideas, like maybe not based on anything, but based on these childhood concepts of like, oh, well, once there was a king who wanted to wear the brightest crown, or once there was a queen that wanted the shiniest crown. Then there was Stormborn. That was another GOT episode. Then another On Location episode, Lake Ontario, Can I Call You Terry? And I can remember this night. Like I was literally lying in a beach chair on this rocky beach on Lake Ontario at night. It was very, very windy and very, very wavy, way more than comes across in the recording. I don't know how. Like, I remember recording it, and it was like an ode to Lake Ontario, that my favorite, the greatest of the Great Lakes, and of lakes, period. No offense to other lakes. It was really a love song, and I was like, is this even going to be, when I was recording it, I was really all in to these odes to Terry. And I was like, is this going to be a usable recording? And it did work out. Like, it was usable. Looks like we have 2 episodes 570s in here, so I'll have to fix that. But 570 is a Rumble Tummy Bird, another Big Farm episode, a fun one. 572, The Queen's Justice. This is a good Khaleesi episode. Then episode, I don't know what it is, Bus Rides with Scooter. I remember one bus ride episode from a while ago, but that's not this one. So let's see what I wrote in the thing. Also says as the wheels in the bus go round and round. So I actually don't know what that episode is about at all. I mean, because maybe I talked about the 51A. I don't know if I talked about other bus rides I'd been on, because it says Bus Rides with Scooter. Because I know I had an original series I was thinking about doing, Tales from the 51A. But then I thought, people don't want to go on the bus to end up on a sleep podcast, so let's keep any bus things personalized or imaginary. Then I think of really Closed Open Books, which was a book, like a mystery about a book or books, Big Farm PI. And it was the final episode, and one I enjoyed making very much. Then The Spoils of War, which is another Game of Thrones episode. Post Khaleesi, Jamie's in that one. I think that was one with, Jamie. That was a good cliffhanger between The Queen's Justice and The Spoils of War. Then 576 was a crossover I did with a Meditation Minis podcast, Shell, which was the idea of a chair there to comfort you, whether you're flying or you're going to have your teeth looked at, that a chair will be there to keep you company. 577 was a lulling overview of Big Farm PI. 578 was Eastwatch, a Game of Thrones episode, Game of Thrones drones. And that was I'm trying to remember that episode. Eastwatch by the Sea, they call it. Then there was Desert Island Serial, which was where I had an adventure with Boo Berry, Count Chocula, and Frankenberry. Though I think, even in that one I quibbled. How come the other two are those two related, Boo Berry and Frankenberry? And I know that at least around Halloween, that serial gets re-released now that someone bought the rights to it. So keep an eye out for it. I don't think I've bought it, but, I'd like to. And probably should get some shirts with those characters on there. Then we had a big return for a lot of the hardcore fans of the show. Was a return to Agatha and After the Glass Slipper. And this was our first season 3 of anything, I think. I'm pretty sure this was our first season 3. And really a show I worked very, very hard on, a series I really delved into with the lessons I had learned from the last 2, were these serial series, even if you never hear them, I think will put you to sleep for some people. I mean, I believe all the podcast episodes, it's like the work that goes into it is what really results in people being able to sleep. But those ones I really dived into, like fairy tales and myths and stuff, to give it some support each story. And it was based on Agatha and I think her co-teacher, who may have been Penelope. I can't remember who her co-teacher was. But that they were teaching the children of this new kingdom they lived in, who were some had a background from the fairy world, and some had a background from the human world, and they were trying to create a class about respecting the myths of the fairy people, because they had because everything. Cinderella's still a great leader, but because the fairy their kingdom had been lost. 581, great episode of Game of Thrones, the show Thrones, Beyond the Wall. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Tale of the Tape. I really had a hard time remembering the plot of this, and it was that was one of the tougher tales of the tape. I said, how does my brain not remember Pee-wee's Big Adventure? Then we had Clam King and the Seasons, which is a tale of Clam King and Manila, which someone pointed out recently. They were listening and said, is this about Persephone? And I said, yeah, it's pretty much based on the tale of Persephone. I think that's who it's based on. I'd have to look at my notes. Then we had 584, The Wolf and the Dragon. That's when the Khaleesi and Jon Snow... I think, connect. Oh, no, wait. Yeah, I guess that's when they finally connect. And Tyrion's just standing out there, which was interesting. And that was the end of that season, which was saying, man, I can't believe that season came to a close. But I guess it was like a kind of 2-part that'll close with the last few episodes of Game of Thrones. Then we got to walk around Disneyland with my neighbor Ray, which is always a joy. 586 was Daymog and Jalid, which was it could kind of like a meta. It was like about the first Star Trek: The Next Generation episode we did, which was about I'd have to think. I can't remember the words they used, and then about. Beowulf and anyway, just like a lot of myth on top of myth on top of myth. Then we had Game of Thrones season 7 recap. And if you don't listen to Game of Thrones episodes, I strongly suggest checking them out. They're a lot longer, and they have the coverage of the episode, then the coverage of the facts of the episode. Then they have Tommen and Pounce, and then they have prayers to the old gods and the new. So really, really long and, I don't know, different episodes than we make labor intensive for sure. 588 was Kayak Cruise. It might have been our last on location episode, though we'll find out. Maybe there were one or two others. Yeah, I think maybe there's 1 or 2 others, but that was an episode I recorded in a kayak. And again, it's just like the on-location episodes are a bit labor-intensive, to support just for the free podcast. But those are fun ones. And that was a fun one. I was in a kayak looking for great blue herons. 589, Girl Without Bird Song. So that was an After the Glass Slipper episode. One of my episode, when I look back at it, I can remember making this and writing it and the myths behind it and stuff. So powerful episode for me, just making it and thinking about it. Captain's Holiday, that was a fun game of Star Trek episode. So TNG was back. And that was Picard's trip to Risa, which everybody was happy about. They said, finally, Captain, you're going to relax here. And he said, what do you mean? Okay, then 591 was another kind of tribute crossover episode, things I might have wrote as a kid. And that was based on a podcast, Grown-Ups Read Things They Wrote as Kids, and a live show. So just another podcast for you to check out. Then Mother of All Alchemy, which is After the Glass Slipper episode. Again, kind of probing at some myths. Then we jump to TNG, The Naked Now, which was, I think, the second. The first two episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1 was a two-parter. Or else just a really long episode, Encounter at Farpoint. And I think Naked Now is either the second or the third episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. It's pretty out there. So it's just wild that it was like that early on. Really out there, fun episode to check out. Okay, here's some back-to-back ones. This is one's called On Summer's Horseback. This is when it was not on location, but it was afterwards recounting a horseback ride I did. It's a really popular episode. I hear from a lot of people about it. And it's because it's true. Like, I think the reason people like it is because I was riding a horse. Wasn't particularly my forte or within my wheelhouse. They said, okay, my daughter wants to go for a horse ride. Well, let's go. But then, so then what I did to pass the time was talk to my horse, whose name was Summer. And I whispered to her and I sang to her and I negotiated with her. Like I said, let's get through this summer together. And don't be sympathetic to my vibrations. Please, Summer, please. And I think that's something a lot of listeners have a relationship with. 594 was again another After the Glass Slipper Magic Frog song. It just inspired by a really cool myth, I think a Grimm's Tale. And that I was able to kind of reimagine in a way, or pretty big way, change it around and say, okay, well, if this was so, I don't know. Again, I just really... I can picture the journey that the story goes on and almost experience myself. And that doesn't always happen, but I think that's an important part of the show is that it can give you a physical and visceral journey. And I could take it. I could see cobblestones and being outside of buildings, this frog. Then Cupid, another fun Q episode for TNG. Then another experimental episode, Trending Transcript Tuesdays with a machine transcript of a Lady Witchbeard episode. And that was just an experiment, pretty bizarre. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think it went okay. And then Dueling Butterflies was After the Glass Slipper episode. I don't know what that one was about. Let me look it up, actually. I have no clue. It's weird how some of them come back to me instantly. But it's like each of these episodes represents like about 20 hours of my work. So that's like between where we are today and now, that's like 100 times 20. So 2,000 hours of work since I made that episode. And it's just the episode work, not putting the podcast, everything out. Let's see what it says about that. Don't worry, Hamilton fans. No birds will be harmed in this podcast. Only lulls will be cast by caring siblings for you to sleep to. So it doesn't really give us a lot of details about what happened in that episode. Dueling butterflies. So it would have been butterflies trying to top one another. I'm trying to think of like what myth or what, after the glass slipper, dueling butterflies. Usually I remember all of these. Well, clearly not all of them. But I really can't. I mean, I can picture beautiful butterfly wings flapping and relaxing us and unwinding us. And I'm sure Bernie was mentioned in it, but dueling butterflies. I guess when I get off, I'll have to check it. But I'm sure it was like a tale based on either a myth or a fairy tale. I'm just trying to buy some time to see if my brain remembers it. Plus, well, we'll just stop here. So what I'll do is I'm going to look up the notes for that 598 dueling butterflies. Let's see, because the next episode was 599 The Chase, which is Star Trek The Next Generation episode, pretty close to the end of our Star Trek coverage. And the reason we haven't gone back, we will be doing some Star Trek coverage either soon or concurrent with this episode when it comes out. But the reason is it just it didn't realize how, like, some people just, like a large percentage of listeners just won't listen to Star Trek episodes. And I know it's some people's favorites, so I've tried to find some balance, so just to do just a few episodes. That way people are getting the episodes, but it's not let's see. So I'm messing around trying to find a folder with the notes here. What did I say? Dueling butterflies. I wonder if my notebook is here. And that's what I'll bring you to sleep. And then what I'll do is, and I think this would take an hour. So I guess we'll do another recap of 600 to the current thing. Let's see here, though. Show notes. After the Glass Slipper Season 3. I see it'd be Nella. Shelley Part 2, Statue, 12 Children, Daymog, Frogs, Bezel, Syllabi. Maybe this was one maybe this episode never existed because I don't know. This one is mislabeled. Well, this one was based on an episode of Weird Science. I don't know which episode this was. This is Alchemy. So that's Mother of All Alchemy. Statue Love, 12 Children. Wonder what this one was. Maybe this was the Dueling Butterflies. Oh, I think this was. So it was based on the 12 children, one sister. I think this is it, about that they all get a king regent, 6 sons, 6 daughters, fairy godmother to help watch over the children, 12 children play together. Meanwhile, the queen has her own, so that was with his first family. And then his current queen has a boy and a girl. And they go, all the kids are living in one tower by themselves. The brother and sister find them and say, hey, all these kids are playing in a playroom in a tower in our castle. And then they get sent off. And I think they get changed into butterflies. And then they return. I kind of remember this. At the end, the girl rules forever. All the children have moth birthmark on them. Prince Regent wants more children. This is still kind of in the notes. Queen relents. This is okay. King makes a playroom. Sends the children out. 12 strands of ivy. So a little bit, that's a little bit about it. Basically a tale of the children turning to butterflies, helping their sister by carrying her, and then turning back into her siblings. So I hope as you now picture a flight of beautiful butterflies, and they're gently rocking your bed if they're cool with that, and maybe they're carrying you into the clouds, or maybe you're nice and snug in your bed on the ground, or maybe the butterflies are just outside gently flapping their wings with a beautiful, restful sound as you get more comfortable and drift off. Good night. All right, everybody. This is a second retrospective episode, looking back at the last 600 episodes, or the last 100 episodes of the podcast. And actually, I'll be looking into the future before release, because I'm recording this in early August. But again, just like in the other one, I couldn't make this show without you. So thank you so much for all of your support, all of your listening. Let me really tuck you in bed. It really is an honor to be here and tell you bedtime stories and to help you go to sleep, or to keep you company in the deep dark night, or to keep you company in the day when you might be under some stress. I can't tell you. I mean, maybe you can feel it, because I can feel it in my chest and in my gut and in my heart right now talking about it. I don't know. I didn't expect so maybe I'll do a little bit of a personal retrospective, a quick one of the history of the podcast, and then of the history of the last year, and then go into the last 100 episodes with maybe some personal, I don't know, but I'll keep it sleepy, don't worry. Because we definitely 700 episodes is pretty far from the beginning. Because when I started this show, and some of you may not know that, I had no experience in podcasting or broadcasting or being recorded or performing on the mic. And I also had no idea that this podcast would work out. I wondered, I said to myself, why isn't there a bedtime story podcast for grown-ups? And I'd said it for years, and I said, and then the answer would come back from another childlike part of me, well, why don't we make it? And I would say, no, that's not for, we can't do that. That would be, that's too, we don't have that experience. We don't know what we're doing. We couldn't make that. And that kid-like voice would come back and say, come on, let's make that podcast. I think we could make it. And if you've heard the history of the podcast before, that was something that went on for years. I said, no. And I said, well, we love all these podcasts. And it was recently, I was just exchanging tweets with Brian from Coverville, which was one of the first podcasts I started listening to on a regular basis in the aughts. I don't know what aught, in 05. I don't know what year it was, but, and that was one of the shows I said, wow, you can really make podcasts are a joyful thing, and they can really be about anything. And Brian's show is about cover songs, and it still continues to this day. And he's in the Podcast Hall of Fame. He's been doing it since the beginning. He's also on the morning streams. So I know a lot of morning stream shout out, because I know a lot of, we have some crossover in our audience, which is really cool. So, like, just hearing stuff like that, it encouraged my child, Brian, whatever. I don't know if Brian is an inner child. I think he probably does. But say, hey, well, he's making this fun show about cover songs. Back then, there were shows like Dawn and Drew, and Scott Sigler had these audiobook style podcasts. Those were two other ones. My kid was like, hey, look at these shows. And sometimes, like early on, I would listen to podcasts with other people, and they wouldn't feel the same. And then there was this podcast, what was it called? WDW Today, and it was these guys, these five guys, or what's he? Len, Mike, and Matt, and then sometimes they would have another guest, talking about in depth about the Disney World theme park, and it was just so interesting to just hear these, like it was literally like I was getting to look in through a window on their lives, even though a lot of stuff they talked about was subtextual and there'd be tension between them. it was ostensibly they're just talking about Disney theme parks, but it was like hearing it just felt like I was getting to inhabit, like being John Malkovich in each one of them. And I don't know, it was just another one that I said, wow, you really can make a podcast about anything and just do it. And at the time, I think the big podcast was Ricky Gervais's, like a repurposing of a radio show as a podcast or as a radio. I don't know. I never looked. I think I have looked into the history, but it was Stephen Merchant, Ricky Gervais, and Carl Pilkington. And I think that was Carl Pilkington's kind of a big debut in the world. And it's just another very funny, very different, especially from American radio. And again, my kids said, wow, look at all this stuff. And there's so much other stuff that I was listening to, but those are just a few examples. And I said, no. We and I kept putting that idea to bed and saying, not listening to that call. And then at some point I did listen to the call, and we'll skip over the years between them. I kind of talked about it on other shows, but, I was trying other stuff, and like I had kind of slowly been starting to commit to living my life a little bit fuller. And it was a very slow journey to do that, and to take some action where I could. And there was a lot more backwards motion than forward motion, but there was still some forward motion. And then at some point, one of the things I was working on did not work out. And I remember, and I've talked about this in other places, I was on a bus during the transit strike where the trains weren't running. And so it was a very, very long bus ride with a lot of stops and a lot of people, just because the trains were down and people were trying to get to work. It wasn't like a bus you would normally commute on. And this project kind of imploded with the other people I was collaborating with. And right at that point, like I knew that project was done. I had time every week committed to that project. And this part of me said, hey, why don't you start that sleep podcast? Right. And I said, what? Yeah, where you were working on this other project. Just start to work on the sleep podcast. Just put it in there. And I said, okay, yeah. And I said, just do it, because otherwise life's going to close up and you won't get a chance to do it. I think you should do it. And I said, okay, yeah, let's do it. And so I did it, and I just started. Basically, it's a non-dramatic thing. I was looking on YouTube and the internet for how to make a podcast. I borrowed some equipment. And I said, let's just start trying to make this a bedtime story podcast for grown-ups. And let's start, like, from what I had learned on the internet and from listening to people that had been making podcasts. One was podcasts aren't a money-making thing. Two, it's very hard, especially when you have no. So I didn't have any expectation of that. And I said, well, it's very hard to get people to listen to podcasts, especially if you don't have an audience. So I said, okay, that's good, probably, those two things, because I don't know what I'm doing. And the consensus seemed to be that it took 3 years to get people, like, to build any kind of audience. So I said, okay, well, 2 to 3 years usually, but it definitely is 3 years is the consensus. But it's easier to say, okay, well, 2 to 3 years is a little more palatable. And then another consistent piece of advice, and not 100%, like this is a gray area, but a stronger is if you don't have an audience, releasing something on a consistent basis will help. That's better than just releasing it randomly. For me, it's like, and that worked. I said, okay, so have a deadline. And I did think about it when I was making the podcast. I said, well, if people are falling asleep, and if this podcast did work, and I was listening to it, I would want to know when it's coming out, and I would want it to be out then. And so that's something we've always kind of stuck to, is like really having a consistent schedule, even down to the time, unless there's a glitch that the episodes come out, which I think currently is 4 p.m. Pacific on Sundays and Wednesdays. And then what happened was I started making the podcast, and I started putting it out, and I was learning, and you can listen to the kind of the the content side and the lulling retrospective of the first 500 episodes. Because in that first 150 episodes is really where the current state of the podcast was born, from all the experimentation, not so much in the content of the content, but in the creation of it and saying what works, what's sustainable for the creation standpoint. And at some point in there, probably pretty early on, I settled on a 3-time-a-week schedule because I said, well, if I was listening to podcasts again, I would want it 5 nights a week if I relied on it to fall asleep. And I said, well, that's impossible. And he said, if I push really, really put a lot of work in, I can do it 3 times a week. And also there's a part of me in my mind that said, well, if it's at 3 times a week, yeah, maybe that'll be good for the audience. And then I said, okay, can I do that for 2 years? And that became my goal. That was my goal pretty early on, was like, can I make this podcast? Well, first it was like with the goal of making it for 2 years, but having points in between to be like, can I make 2 episodes? Can I make 8 episodes? Can I make 20 episodes? Can I make 50 episodes? And I think when I got to 50, I was like, I'm definitely making this for 2 years. And that was like a bit of a, like, not having a little bit more, I think I maybe overcommitted. So that was tough because between 50 and there was 250 episodes between episode 50 and 2 years. But I kept at it for 2 years. And at the end of 2 years, I said to myself, well, should we keep making this podcast? Yes, but is this sustainable? And the answer was no. It was just the podcast is like making a podcast like this is the equivalent of like at least a 2 or 3 person team. If each person's working like a normal work schedule of like 40 hours a week. And I was also working a job this whole time to pay my bills and keep and pay the bills of the podcast, which at the time were smaller because the podcast was smaller. But at the end of 2 years, I said, okay, well, we have an audience. And I think at the time, maybe at the end of 2 years, there was like 10,000 regular listeners, which is really, I was really grateful for that. And that was really something that said, okay, this podcast does have potential. And so then I forget if I committed for another year or 2. I think I said, okay. Well, I think I said, can I make this sustainable in a year? Like, otherwise I'll have to stop. I think that's what I decided. Maybe I said 2 more years to make it sustainable. I can't remember, but I said, okay, like, let's see if we could get it to a number of listeners where it's sustainable, like where it could sustain itself, which is at the time, I think this was more not prevailing logic or consensus, but more just, internet opinion was like, oh, if you have 30 or 40,000 regular listeners, you could definitely pay for 1 or 2 full-time positions. And I did find out that for my podcast, that wasn't true because it puts people to sleep. So it makes it adds this extra hurdle of trying to pay the bills when people are asleep. But so I think I said by 3 years, if I be around that number, then maybe it'll be like then I can find a way to sustain it. And I think I'm not sure. My memory is not perfect, but I think around 3 years we're right around that number, like 40,000 regular listeners. But in there, I don't know if when in 3 years we didn't really have any money. We didn't have any money coming in. We had a tiny bit of Amazon money coming in. Mostly I was still subsidizing. Mostly I was subsidizing the podcast with my free labor, and then any money I would have spent on myself or like my leisure money, like it was like a expensive hobby or something like that. And at the end of 3 years, I think this was 3 years, but maybe this was 2 years. I don't know. I said I don't think I can keep doing this. Like it's just it's easy to do something like this for 2 or 3 years. So maybe I'm getting 2 or 3 years mixed up. But I said, I need help. I can't keep putting this show out 3 times a week. It's just not achievable. And so I was like, okay, well, what can I do to get help? And I think we tested it. We tested some sponsors in there at some point. And that didn't really take hold as a reliable source of money. And then at some point, we started the Patreon. And I said, okay, if I could bring in enough money to pay someone to do the first edit of the show, the editing, like after it's recorded, editing the episode, so it's pretty much ready to go. I mean, I would listen and make any changes. Like I said, maybe if I could get help and I could build a Patreon to pay for help with 1 episode a week and then 2 episodes a week with the goal of getting to 3 episodes a week. I said, I think I could keep going. And actually, like before the Patreon started, I started paying out of my pocket. I said, well, I found someone, Chris Posterson. I had heard his podcast. He had done the theme music for the show. I knew he was talented and capable. And so I think this was, I don't know if this is a 2-year point or the 3-year point, right around then. I think it was November or October. So that was right when we started the show. But I don't know if it was after 2 years or 3 years that Chris started working for the show. And I started paying him. And I also have a philosophy. When you work on something for free, you realize that that's kind of like sets this not great precedent. And you realize like how much work goes into the show. And there's a lot, the spectrum of audio editors of pay is pretty wide. And I knew Chris's talent. And so we agreed on what I think, I mean, I would love to pay him a lot more money, but it was like I said, well, if I was doing this, how much would I want to get paid an hour or per episode? So we found a price that I was comfortable with and Chris was comfortable with and that I felt was reasonable by the quality of work and livable. I mean, only as a side gig because it's not like this is the editing is not a 40-hour week work. And so I kind of built the Patreon around that. And then I started the Patreon, but I still had in the back of my mind that at some point we'll have like all the rest of our bills would be paid before by sponsors, just because that's like a lot of the podcast advice out there. And so a lot of my budgeting and stuff was like, okay, well, when we have sponsors, regular sponsors, that's how I'll be able to pay myself and I'll be able to pay some of the other bills. And the Patreon will be like a supplement or the Patreon will be the sponsor will be our A option and the Patreon will be our B option for funding. And then we had CD, affiliate, sleep phones and, what else do we have? Affiliate like Amazon, stuff like that. Is other small, very small, but still any money helps funding options. And again, this isn't all. I'm winging this, so there's definitely some probably holes in some of this stuff. But then I started the Patreon, and I guess when you start, you do something for free. And some listeners told me this. It's this podcast is very valuable, but sometimes your esteem gets mixed in with it, and it's not always the most positive version of your esteem. And I started to think, well, maybe I'll just ask for listeners for $1. Like if I could have got 10% of the listeners at $1 of the show, I said, I guess part of me still always blown away. This was, well, how hard would that be? It should be easy for Sleep With Me. Even though the prevailing logic was only 0.5 to 2%, and 2% is really nearly unachievable of your listeners will support you on a platform like Patreon, will pay for something free. But I think I was more delusional. I have a good relationship with the audience, so I was a little delusional of what was possible. But I was also scared of just asking for more money than $1. And so I asked for $1, and I thought we could get 10% and then maybe 1 or 2%, not $1. And that was actually a big error. Because one, we weren't able to achieve even come close to that 10% number. And it kind of let a lot of our initial patrons know, $1 all Scoots wants or needs, because that's what he's asking for, which was totally reasonable conclusion on their part. And so a lot of the initial people that became patrons were $1 patrons, which is usually your core you get in the first 3 or 4 months of your Patreon. But then a couple listeners, particularly Julie C., one of the moderators, said, this is I don't think this is okay. Like, the podcast isn't just worth $1 to me, and it shouldn't be worth $1 to you if you're working 90 hours a week and a day job to pay for that. Like, isn't it worth, are you sure you're not just, you're devaluing the podcast and I said, you're right, I am. And so then at some point we changed to focus. And also, like other realists said, you can't get 10%. And the numbers were clear that it was like we'd never get to 10% of support. Not even, it was just almost like it's a mathematical impossibility. And so that was a little bit tough. But we said, okay, well, let's just go back. We'll keep doing this and we'll see how it goes. And we'll take it one step at a time. And this was somewhere between years 2 and 4, which all kind of becomes mashed together. And I said, okay, now over years 2 and 4, we'll try to make this sustainable, because at the end of year 4 or end of year 3 or end of both years, I was like, okay, if this isn't sustainable, I have to stop or cut back. I guess it was at the end of year 3. And at the end of year 3, it wasn't sustainable. I guess it was the end of year 3, right? But it was getting there. And I said, it's just a matter of getting the sponsors. We had Patreon support of maybe 1% or maybe somewhere in 1% of the listeners. And while we had like a lot of dollar patrons, because the initial the way I conducted it, it was still good signs. And then we had on and off paid sponsors, and Sleep Phones was an affiliate sponsor, which is a little bit different, but it was like, okay, sooner or later, this is all going to work, because I know it's working. It's putting people to sleep. I'm consistent, but it was still a lot of work. And then again, I got a point where I was like, I can't keep doing this. Like, it's just not sustainable for me. And I started working with my job and my vacation that I'd let build up, and trying to work flex schedule, and trying to cut back at work when I could, and then like trying to be like, okay, what can I do some of this part-time or some of this from home? But it was clear like that wasn't sustainable either. It was like, okay, I need, like I was like, it was approaching a place where I had to make a leap of faith, but one with my, my daughter in mind, in reality in mind. And it wasn't like I knew emotionally I like had listener support, and there's a hardcore group of listeners that's supporting the show. But I said, well, it's still like a leap of faith. Like, and I'm a person that overthinks and is, anxious and stuff. But at some point I took that jump, and I guess that was the last year. But I said, okay, again, if I'm taking this jump, the show has to, like, now it has to be sustainable, because I'm leaving my career, which I had a pension and stuff. So it was like was my main, it was like, that was what I was planning my future around. But I also, over the years, had attained a lot of skills. So I said, okay, well, I know I can produce and make podcasts. So I could always do something else in the podcast business. Not a big deal. And then towards the last year, I guess that was 4 years. So I said, listen, I was honest with myself and the audience. I said, okay, I have to start looking at what's sustainable, like what is paying the bills and what is not paying the bills. And so that was like, first we tried to get funding to make sure to cover the costs of Sleep to Strange, and we weren't able to do that. And so we stopped putting out Sleep to Strange as far as a free show. Then it was like, okay, should we keep it takes a lot of work to put the show out 3 times a week. And it limited my ability to try to pursue other opportunities to make the podcast sustainable, which was, so I said, okay, is it realistic to keep the show 3 episodes a week with the number of sponsors and patrons we have? And at the end of the year, it was like, no, it's just not sustainable for me as a creator, or looking at the numbers. It's just like, okay, we got to cut to 2 a week. And that was a really good decision, because it enabled me a little bit more space to interact with the audience, to interact with the podcast community, and connect with other people that were creating podcasts. And it was also like right around the time I left my job. So all this happened in the winter, like the end of 2017. And so like I left my job, tried to focus. We had some other shakeups in there too. But actually wasn't like, because of the Patreon was still in a place where it's like, okay, I still need to get this going and I still need to get more sponsors. It was like, I guess in some sense I had made that leap. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm committed to this podcast now and committed to making it sustainable. And I said, okay, well, I do have all these tangible skills, so I don't need to worry. And because I was connected to more people creating podcasts, like the people at Night Vale Presents, people at PRX and Radiotopia, and just a lot of my independent friends creating podcasts. It was like I was able to get some, better advice and say, okay, well, I think we're going to be okay. And to be like, okay, 2018, let's just see how it goes again. And I guess like when you're listening to this, it might be further along. We still are in a like see how it goes kind of state. But things change faster now, a little bit faster. So it's like, okay, I think by the end of 2018, we'll be able to keep making 2 episodes a week, free episodes. And I'm pretty confident we are, but I like, we keep assessing things and saying, okay. I mean, the people that support the show, it's been amazing. And I think it's not an issue of people that don't want to support the show. It's just an issue of people falling asleep very fast, which is like, so podcast has kind of been a victim of its own effectiveness and success. And it's just like a overall apathy, like in general, like to say, well, if it's free, it's just a strange thing to pay for something that's free, or to not passively, we're kind of also taught to like passively consume advertising. Instead of being like, oh, Brooklyn and Sleep Phones are part of what they keep the show going. So it's just like, and then when you're already sleeping in bed, we've able to, like, the people are also great about word of mouth. So the show's been able to grow in that way. And I just learned so much about myself about that people are there to support you, listeners and other podcasters and friends and family. And that you can take these leaps, and it's okay to have doubt and to be a little nervous or AFRAID, because it isn't outside of your comfort zone. It is outside your comfort zone, but it says, okay, it's not an all or nothing thing either. You'll be able to find your way. And I can parent myself and say, I'm here to take care of you. It's okay to be afraid. Let me pat your back. We're going to do the best decision we can. And we made a good decision. We have a podcast with about 150,000 regular listeners. Maybe at the time you're listening more. And people that really are invested in the show. And people that support you. People that benefit from the podcast. People that interact with you. That shower you with kindness. And there's a lot of people that believe in you in the show. So it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And let's just take it one step at a time. I mean, that's kind of where things are. Like, I think I have trust that it's like, okay, things are going to keep growing. We're going to add some more sponsors. We're going to get our archives back up. And we're going to keep the show at 2 episodes a week. That's what I'm working for here towards the end of 2018. I guess is my goals is to get the archives back up, make sure they're sustainable, and make sure the free show is sustainable twice a week. Yes, and I'm pretty confident we'll get there, because we got a lot of great support, and I want to thank you for that. But yeah, I guess I've gone off, so let's run through. Yeah, okay, so here we are. Let's run through 600 and to now. So 600 was 7 stages of banter, which again, I can't believe that was 100 episodes ago, but that was a fun episode. Another Born to Win seminar episode. A Statue Love, that was another After Glass Slipper episode I enjoyed. Little One and Mother, that was with Troy's mom and Picard on Star Trek The Next Generation. Yeah, Fearless Flyer review in October. That's funny. Maybe that was our last Fearless Flyer review. I don't know, but that was a good one. No, I think we did one with pumpkin pie spice. Pop quiz after the glass slipper. Yesterday's Enterprise, TNG. Hamlet with Brainbots. That was October 24th. Holy mackerel. That was like about me procrastinating going to see Hamlet and then being happy I did. Castles and Compromise. That was another After the Glass Slipper episode. That was good. Fistful of Datas. So we're getting towards the end of... Oh, we're getting ready for the launch of this new Star Trek Discovery series. And then 609 Costume Nostalgia. That came out on Halloween. I know that was a popular episode. It was a fun look at, nostalgia for Halloween costumes. Quilting Clues. That was another After the Glass Slipper one. Context. And then we did Star Trek Discovery. But I think, I enjoyed the show. It was just a matter of a combination of the paywall, and I guess just that Star Trek was just having trouble with a large number of listeners not listening to the Star Trek episodes. Then Talking Bogs, that was another on-location episode where I talked to a bog. Don't Look Back, that was with Talking Bogs was with, who was it with? Viola, maybe? I can't remember. Don't Look Back. That was a cool After Glass Slipper episode. Then another Discovery episode when Doves and Lambs Fly Together. Then a healing kind of personal fictional journey, Clouds Heal. That was because I kept failing quizzes for Clouds in 4th or 5th grade. Teaching Valuations. That was towards the end of or maybe that was the last episode of After Glass Slipper. I think it was. And Choose Your Pun, that was another Star Trek Discovery episode. I think that was the last one we did. Plus, it was up against the holiday season. Apple at My Core, that was a fun one because it was like a look at apples, which I love, and apple picking, and even an apple coaster, I think. Then we did a tale of the tape for the movie Home Alone. Then I did an episode about snow sledding. A little trip, immersive trip of snow sledding. Then as the North Pole turns, that was a holiday series, a short holiday series, soap opera at the North Pole. Then we did Tale of the Tape for the movie Scrooged, which was, again, a fun one. We did a Holiday Knocks with Dan and Muskie. That was with Dan Harmon and Elon Musk helping find lost pets. And then Stormy Sheep, which is another As North Pole Turns episode. Then we had our first Doctor Who episode with a visit from Charles Dickens, just because it was the holiday season. Then a Macy's Parade recap, Happy Pucks. That was the best parade ever, just because of this guy. He was dressed as a puck. I think there's two of them, and they were dancing, and they were so happy. I still can see it. Then a holiday, a Macy's, then As the North Pole Turns, another episode, Mellorama. Then National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation Tale of the Tape. Then the two characters from other holiday episodes, the elf nobody knew and the Christmas tree that took a walk, went on a walk together. Then the finale of As the North Pole Turns, North Pole Cocoa Square Dance. Then we had Peeping Leaves, which was a leaf episode, where I talked about leaf peeping. Then an on-location episode from Stowe Lake. And this is when we moved to the twice-a-week schedule here. Then we started doing regular Doctor Who season 1. And that first episode was Rose. Then we interviewed Jenny, the new username generator. That's another creative high point for the podcast. I can't believe it was all the way in January. Then we had Lentils and Plastic Toys, which was a look back at both After Glass Slipper and I think that's what it was. And let's see, Jenny, the username generator. Yeah, and as a North Pole turns, I think. Then I Feel Fine, another Doctor Who episode. Then Pitch and Curry and Moranis episode. I pitched them in a Hall & Oates musical. Still haven't heard anything from anybody about that. Then we kicked off our new series with Fairy Tale River Ride. That was a theme park series that never got a name, but it was about a young woman in a theme park. Then Friends in London, another Doctor Who episode. Then Food Pilgrimager, which was another, what is that called? Fearless Flyer episode. It was called Food Pilgrimager. Then another ride episode, Dark Side of the Pretzel from the theme park series. Doctor Who Won, Once, Twice, Thrice a Doctor. Another good creative episode, Weathered Weather Vane. Another one I was happy with how it came out. I wanted to do a story about a weathered vane, and it, again, took some turns I didn't expect. Gliding Over Comfort. That was, like, I don't know if you've been on that ride, Soarin', but that was what it was about. Then Comic Dalek. I didn't even realize that kind of rhymed. Comic Dalek. Maybe I did at the time. Then a Carole King episode where I went on an adventure with a label maker. Then a theme park ride, with Oceans. Then 648 was a Long Game. That was another Doctor Who episode. 649 was another interview episode with Matter Matters. It was a TV show, Matter Matters, I think. Episode 650 was Curly Sue Rush, which is based on, like, what's that ride called? Or influenced by Big Thunder Mountain. Father's Day, that was a Doctor Who episode. Real-time recipe, both my Instapot, real recipe under pressure in real time. Then Panda Force, which was kind of influenced by the Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland. Let's see, Empty Snore Child, that was a Sleeping with Doctor Who episode. Then we had a Fairy Tale Gloom Game unboxing where I unboxed the game Fairy Tale Gloom. Then we had a theme park episode, Conservatory Reading, which is kind of influenced by The Land. Then Fan of a Fan, which was kind of an episode about fandom, and particularly that I'm a fan of my fan. Then we had Dr. Dances, another Doctor Who episode. Episode Rom-Con Con, which was... had a little bit of Tingler in there. I wrote Romanflits. It was about me starting a romance convention, and then going to a romance convention where I didn't have books. I had Romanflits, romantic pamphlets. Toy Town, that was about, what's that, Happy Little World, what's it called? A World of Journey. I don't know what that ride's called, where all the kids sing. The Small World. Yeah, that's it. Small World. Thanks, Brain. Then Boomtown, another Doctor Who episode like really getting close to the end of that season. Central Park Regret came out in April. That was, I still say Paul Simon should make a song about that. That was kind of a fiction reality melded. Heart of a Candy Band. That was a theme park ride episode. Bad Wolf, that was a great Doctor Who episode, one I really enjoyed. 665 was Friends of Mario and Sonic, where I said, who are all these people that hang out with Mario and Sonic? I was like, what the heck? Let's look it up. 666 was Jungle River Journey. I thought 666 was going to be a Doctor Who episode, but it ended up being Jungle River Journey. Theme park episode. 667, Parting of the Ways. That was the last Doctor Who episode. 668 was Skywriter, where I met a skywriter. I tried to save skywriting successfully, by the way, but it was fiction. It was fictional, but I successfully saved skywriting. 669 was the finale of the theme park series, Caretaker's Carousel, which part of it took place in the Carousel of Progress. 670 was The Good Place, episodes 1 and 2. A Good Place to Sleep, based on the TV show The Good Place. And that was kind of like a surprise. I said, okay, I don't know. I just love the show so much. I said, we're going to do this. Bell Biv de Bib. That was for Memorial Day, and that's all intros episode. Then we had the Alice Isn't at Brunch, the Alice Isn't at the Big Farm crossover, with a great podcast from Joseph Fink. So that was a fun crossover. Then a review of the theme park series, a little run through. Then episode about Tahani and Jason, Good Place, episode 3 and 4. Yeah, 3 and 4. Then a comparison of the Pirates of the Caribbean rides with Ray, my neighbor. That was a good episode, I think. Ray kind of said the Disneyland and the Disney World Pirates of the Caribbean rides are very different, or not very different, but... And Ray wanted to come on and explain to people all the differences. Then another new series that we're still in progress right now, Stan Chronicles episode 1, Nuns in Space. Stan returns, Stan and Scooter. Then The Good Place to Sleep episodes 5 and 6. Then The Lemonade Experience, another kind of different episode where it was just about sipping lemonade on a porch and idealizing that. Then The Stan Chronicles 2, where Stan's on the artist journey, working his way through that. Then 680 was A Good Place to Sleep, episode 7 and 8. Then the Bernie the Butterfly tote bag episode, where Bernie the Butterfly comes out and talks about tote bags, 681. 682 is the 4th of July, so we did an all intros episode, More Pillows Than a Fancy Hotel. 683 was Smelling Space, with Nuns in Space, episode 3. Then we covered Good Place episodes 9 and 10. 685 was Cloud Tower, which was kind of like an air traffic control tower in the clouds. And also kind of meant to be soothing if you're flying, if you're in the air, you're in a tube, thing. Yeah, for people that don't like that. Then Letter to a Younger Soda Machine Self. That was what, Stan 5, 2, 3, 2, 3, maybe 4. I don't know. Yeah, I guess 4. Then A Good Place to Sleep episodes 11 and 12. Then another Carole King episode, Mothership Connection, with a little bit of Funkadelic in there. Then a 99 PI crossover, or tribute, more of a tribute to Roman Mars and 99% Invisible, where and would mash up too with pitching Moranis and Curry. It was pitching Roman Mars, Rick Moranis, and Tim Curry on a movie. It was like a lot of layers in there. And when I record this, last episode release was 691 Prom Free, Stan Chronicles episode 5, which was about prom that you didn't. It was a no date prom, so a kind of dream prom. So that's all that's released. So let me see off the top of my head if I can figure out what's coming next without looking. 691 is A Good Place to Sleep episode 13. Yeah, because I was just listening and editing that one. So that would be 692 would be a visit to the New York State Fair, a little history of the New York State Fair. 691, 692. 693 would be Stan, part 6. I was just listening to that one too, but I don't want to, spoil him. 694 will be a Troy, Star Trek: The Next Generation episode with Troy is the main. She's the lead. She's in command of the ship. I had to change the title of the episode to Troy. I can't remember what I named it, but because the name of the episode's not very sleepy. $6.95 should be State Fair, another visit to New York State Fair. It'll be interesting. I guess you're hearing this after this all come out with more details about the New York State Fair and memories. $6.96 would be Stan Chronicles episode 7, which progressively gets more and more interesting and more sleepy. What is that? $6.96 or $6.97? I don't know. $6.90. Well, my finger says 7, so $6.97 would be Star Trek: The Next Generation. And I don't know the order of the release. Let's see. There's Allegiance is one of them. So let's just say I don't know if it is that's the next one. But that's one of the ones coming out is Allegiance. I think maybe that's it, and it's about Picard. There's two Picards at one time in the episode, including one that's ready to date. So that's a good one. So that's 7. 98 is that 98? So 7 would be 98. I think it's going to be a Tingler crossover. So anybody that's a Chuck Tingle fan will have the lowing, like it should be on Chuck's podcast, the Pounded podcast is for grown-ups only, will be a grown-up version. And then there'll be a Sleep With Me version. All about being okay. So it should be $6.98. So that would make $6.99. Stan 8. Yeah, that looks right. And then 700 would be, I think, is the schedule. There's like somewhere in there is a Labor Day. So somewhere in there is going to be all intro episode. Then somewhere in there would be let me just try to figure out the next Star Trek one because I can't remember. So it'd be at least entertaining. Like the Star Trek episode after that would be The First Duty with Wesley. But in between those, we did Allegiance because I record stuff so far ahead of time. Like I probably recorded this last week. It was so long ago. I did Allegiance. I just recorded The First Duty this week. So what was the other one? I honestly don't know. Then there'll be those retrospective episodes and the rest of the Nuns in Space episodes. And then also we'll be doing Good Place season premiere will be in there. So that's like what we have on tap. I wish I could remember that other Star Trek one. Like, who was the main character? Was it? There's another one with. Oh no, that one's after the Wesley episode. There's like Moriarty one, but that's after it. Okay, you know what? I just remembered it. It was. It's one about. It's called Brothers. I think it's about Data and Data's brother. That might even be before the Wesley. Yeah, it is before the Wesley one. So it's about Data and Lore, and then two other, the B story is very short, but it's about two brothers on aboard the ship. And I really feel a sense of familyhood with all of you listeners. So thank you so much for being with me on this journey and supporting me on this journey and believing in me, because I believe you deserve a good night's sleep. That's why I make the show. I say it a lot, but I've been there. So thanks for the help keeping the show going. Or, thank you for just being rested and sleep and then putting positive energy out in the world. Thanks and good night. I want to thank Anya for the support on Venmo. Thanks and good night. And I want to thank on Patreon our new patrons, Larissa, Lorraine, and Chris. Thank you, thanks and good night. Trish, Nancy, and Jan. Thank you, thanks and good night. Jordan, Morgan, and Carter. Thank you, thanks and good night. Elizabeth, Sarah, and Stacy. Thank you, thanks and good night. Jill, James, and Lauren. Thanks and good night. Kat, Natasha, and Eric. Thank you, thanks and good night. Ann, Caleb, and Chris. Thank you, thanks and good night. Laura, Tim, and Alexa. I had to say that in a strange way so the speakers didn't. Thanks and good night. Joshua, Lily, and Melody. Thanks and good night. TJ, Yeki, and Kimberly, thank you, thanks, and good night. Mickey, Jim, and Annie, thanks, and good night. Mary, Maureen, and Hannah, thank you, thanks, and good night. Lisa, Ann, Marie, and Jackie, thanks, and good night. Hannah, Seth, and Christy, thanks, and good night. D, Matthew, and Wayne, thanks, and good night. Julie, Sarah, and Tristan, thanks, and good night. Megan, Andrew, and Mark, thanks, and good night. Emily, Matthew, and Kyle, thanks, and good night. Brittany, Sarah, and Friday, thanks, and good night. Jan, Purple, and Daniel, thanks, and good night. And Karen, Janine, and Anthony, thanks, and good night. Thank you so much, everybody that supports the show on Patreon, the monthly supporters. Thanks, everybody that supports the show in other means, in other ways. If you want to subscribe and support the show on a monthly basis, it's by far the number one way we keep the show going. sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Sleep With Me is also a proud member of Night Vale Presents. You can check out all of the amazing shows over at nightvalepresents.com. And we're also a member of PRX. You can check out PRX at prx.org. Thank you all so much, and good night. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. Before I tuck in, I just want to let you know about our referral program. That's where you can get great rewards for free, just referring people to the podcast. And you can do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, R-E-F-E-R. And you just let people know about the podcast. Use this special link. You share it on social media or wherever, you share online. And you could even earn ad-free episodes. And the way to get into our, our like little secret club that there's really no way to get into unless you hear an opportunity or you see an opportunity that I announce. And that's our Wall of Fame and our Dream Door Society. And Cornelia is already well beyond that in referrals. So it's very, very possible. And I haven't checked it in the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure a couple other people are up there getting close. But it all starts with that first referral. And you just let people know, hey, this is a podcast that helps me fall asleep, that I enjoy listening to. That's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, R-E-F-E-R. Thanks, everybody.
From PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to put, instead of the space being the final frontier, it's time to create a cozy space that if I had better vocabulary and rhyming, I'd rhyme something, make a cozy space with something that rhymes with frontier. Frontier? Oh dear, I don't have anything that rhymes with it. This is like, and this is what you could expect a lot more of. If you're like, what? Did he just lack the ability to say cozy space, trying to think of something, like rhymes with frontier, oh dear? Yes, I did, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, before we get started here, Sleep With Me exists from a place of empathy and compassion, of saying, I'm going to be here for you to keep you company so that you can fall asleep. And when I say that as a part of multiple communities, and there's a lot of communities and members of our communities that need support right now. And there's links to resources, whether you need extra support right now or you want to be a part of positive change and say Black Lives Matter with your actions, say stop AAPI hate with your actions, or just learn more. There's links to resources you could connect with in our show notes because you're a part of this community, okay? So make sure to check out the show notes in your podcast app of choice. And here's the sponsors who enable me to be here for you free twice a week. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here. I'm trying to get these patron messages as quick as I can. But if you use it on a regular basis, if you listen to a lot of episodes of Sleep With Me, especially compared to other stuff you pay for as a subscription, if you count on Sleep With Me and you're in a position to do so, only if you're in a financial position to do so, maybe you cut back on a streaming service, or maybe say, you know what, Scoots is worth eating out one less lunch a month or two less lunches a month. I want to support Sleep With Me at $10 or $20 a month. That would be huge. It also feels good. I mean, that's just something patrons regularly tell me, how good it feels to be a rebel with a cause. And you could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. I also want to talk about some of the stuff from the last few months that the patrons gave me feedback about, is having something to listen to 5 nights a week. Every school night, every work night. Sunday night, brand new episode. Monday night, story only episode. So no music. And Tuesday night, another story only episode. People love those. Wednesday night, another brand new episode. And then on Thursdays, $10 and $20 patrons get another episode. Usually it's either an exclusive bonus show or an all intro show or a 4, 6, 8 hour compilation show. So think about it. Think about how much you get out of Sleep With Me. Maybe some of those patron bonuses appeal to you too, because I know the patrons, they tell me how much they love it. Story only episodes and night after night after night of content ready to go. You could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Be a rebel with a cause. Pay for a free podcast because it feels good. You get something back. And if you're not in a position to do so or you don't want to, that's totally okay too. I totally understand. And either way, whether you support the show or not, it'll be here for you because I've been there in the deep dip. Last night, oh boy, I'll save it for an intro. But so sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Apollo Neuro. You've heard me talk about this device. You know, I went this summer. I didn't bring my Apollo Neuro when I was out of town on a family road trip, and I really missed it. I could even see it with my tracking on my watch of my HRV. But if you haven't heard of Apollo Neuro, it's a new wearable that helps you sleep more and stress less. It's absolutely amazing. Apollo Neuro's proven technology helps calm your nerves and clear your mind, melting away stress so you can sleep. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system. It uses touch therapy to help you wind down into a restful state without drugs or side effects. I use it as part of my wind down, and then I also use the sleep mode. It's worn on the wrist or the ankle, and Apollo Neuro delivers silent, soothing vibrations that help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Apollo Neuro was developed by a neuroscientist and board-certified psychiatrist who has been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. Apollo's effects have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies, and according to our research, Apollo Neuro users experience on average 19% more time in deep sleep, 14% increase in REM sleep, and 40% less stress and feelings of anxiety. And you can get 10% off your Apollo Neuro today at apolloneuro.com/sleepwithme. That's 10% off at APOLLONEURO.com/sleepwithme. ApolloNeuro.com/sleepwithme. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleep A Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you here. It's where I pop my peas, if you please. It's where I thank the listeners who not only supported the sponsors, but let the sponsors know about it, posted on social media, let me know about it, amplified their support of the sponsors. That's how we keep sponsors around, because of listeners like Jacqueline and Look Normal, that's their Twitter handle. Jacqueline supported Native, got some sweet Native deodorants, and Look Normal got an Apollo Neuro. They let the companies know about it. Let me know about it. It's a huge help for the show because the sponsors say these are real people supporting the show because we support Sleep With Me. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you, Jacqueline and Look Normal. If you support a sponsor, let them know about it. Let me know about it. Tag me on social media. Give them a call. Send them an email. Send them a letter. And then let me know about it on social media or at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors. Thank you so much. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need. There's links to resources that you can connect with if you need extra help right now, and if you want to learn more to support the members of our community, to say Black Lives Matter, to say stop AAPI hate with your actions. And it's also about learning more in organizations we all might learn more about and then support. And I want to thank Madeline, who reached out to me and let me know about 1,000 Women Strong, and you can find them on social media at 1K Women Strong. That's on Twitter and Instagram. And Madeline let me know, and I checked it out too. It's an organization that puts Black women's voices first. It's run by Black women, and right now they're focusing on canceling student loan debt for Black women. And they have weekly webinars right now, so you could check them out. You could learn more, and you could support them. And that's 1,000 Women Strong, 1K Women Strong on social media. I'll have a link to their Linktree links in the show notes. And that's the end of the Sleepy Support Border Zone. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are
Chris
they?
Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support Dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Anna like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dear Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. That's where you can find me. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do with a bedtime story. All you need to do, or all you could do if you wish, is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. You don't even have to get in bed. You could get comfortable and wherever you are, get comfortable. Or you know what? I've been, I know people listen to podcasts and they're in, smaller seats. They call them coach seats. But I've been in those ones. So you can say, okay, well, wherever you are. Now I forgot where I was. Get in bed, turn it. Even if you're not comfortable and the lights are turned. Last night I had somebody had a different situation going, so I had a light in the hall that was out of my control. So whatever it is, I'd like get in bed, turn the lights, press. I'm going to do the rest. All you need to do. Oh no, then I said that. Get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play, or none of those. What did I say after that? This is how this podcast is, it's not a finely oiled machine. It's like here's the thing with finely oiled machines. You stop oiling them. What do you got? You got a machine soon not to be finely oiled. And that's what just happened there. Get in bed, turn out the lights, press play. I'm going to do this. What I'm going to do is is that what I say next? No. What I'm going to do is try to create a safe place, Well, I've never talked about finely oiled machines before or thought about the fact that it's a very tentative situation. Poor finely oiled machines. I mean, it's great that you're finely oiled. What about a finally oiled machine? How about some love for that? It's finally, I'm oiled. Like the tin person was a bit like that. I don't know if they were a machine or just a sentient collection of tin. But if they were a machine, some people say it was an autonomous, whatever that word is, automaton. I don't know. I can't say it. But you'd say, finally, I'm an oiled machine. But here's a tangent I'm still stuck in. If you stop oiling a finely oiled machine, don't do it, please. If your machines are finely oiled, keep up the good work. Or I'm sure engineers out there are saying, Scooter, don't you understand that's a grade of oil, finally. It's not like it's a machine oiled with a oil that's fine, like a fine oil. Oh boy, fine oil. Sign me up. Where do I overpay for that? This machine is oiled with the finest oils from around the world. It's a finely oiled machine. What does it do? Looks good. What is this, a Sharper Image catalog? Did I accidentally call into a catalog in the middle of an intro for a Star Trek TNG episode? Oh, I didn't even get the podcast started. What I'm going to try to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. Sorry, new listeners, old regular listeners, long-term listeners, that was a real treat. Went off topic twice. Well, first of all, if I got mixed up, I don't even remember what initially mixed me up. And then I got, trying to rhyme something, right? Was that what happened? Then that whole finely oiled machine came loose, came unglued. My finely oiled machine came unglued. It turned out whatever. So I'm going to try to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's scheme. It could be thoughts at this point. It could be feelings, anything emotionally coming up for you. Physical sensations, changes in time or temperature, routine, whatever's keeping you awake. I'd like to take your mind off of that. And what I propose to do is, or what I'm going to try to do is, send my voice across the deep dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. Oh, so creaky are my dulcet tones. Pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. So I'm going to go, as you've already seen, I'm going to go off topic and get mixed up and, misuse words. Then say, wait a second, then indulge things that pop in my brain. I mean, really, this is the first time I've ever had, at least that I can remember, which is usually the third or fourth time, that would I ever thought about the pressure of finely oiled machines under, or just the underlying feeling. You say, well, especially if I owned it, they'd say, well, what am I going to do when Scoots stops oiling me so finely? Here's the flip side of it. It could be a really relaxing thing. You say, well, no, I'm not fully retired. I just finally oil machine. I got a drive around. My job's fine. I oil machines. Oh boy, do I finally oil them. And then when I get there, they say, finally, I'm finally oiled. Where do you get your oil? Filings, formerly known as Filings Basement. Now it's finally fine oils. Filings fine oil. Finally, you're at Filings fine oils. Sorry, I was doing a sleep podcast. Oh boy. So, here's the thing. If you're new, I'll tell you all the information you need to know right now. So this podcast is very different. You've already gotten kind of a couple earfuls of that. Would you use a thimbleful? This would be a good situation to have thimbles, because you'd say, yeah, just a thimbleful of oil. It's so fine, It has, it's micro oil. What does that even mean? Well, it's in a thimble, so it's micro, we're microdosing these machines. Oh, wait, are you oiling micro machines? No. Well, I could, but, so if you're new, this podcast is very different. Obviously, you may be skeptical, you may be doubtful, you may be like, what is going on here? Even I am wondering that right now. At the same time, I'm one of the few podcasters that could talk about this stuff in a pointless way for hours on end. I could go back and redo the same, I still find it, I really think that's what the machine would say. Finally, where you been? I'm finally oiled. And they say, are you finally oiled or finally oiled? Finally, I'm finally oiled. At Filings. That's where I see. You could get a shirt with the annual subscription to Finally Filings. You get a shirt. It's a shirt for machines, which is really just like a kerchief that I wrote on. Okay, so this podcast is just not for everybody taste-wise, but a couple things to know. This is a podcast you don't really listen to. Clearly you could see my qualifications. So it's a podcast you just kind of humor me. You don't even need to humor. You just go, oh boy, really, Scoots. You could even do it that way. You're kidding me. Like you just like a friend or a child, I guess, and this is what you'd say, okay, you're just kind of listening to me. You're barely paying attention. So it's a podcast you don't really pay attention to. It really doesn't put you to sleep either. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. I'm here to be your bore bae, your bore bud, your bore sib, your bore bruh, your bore bestie, and keep you company while you fall asleep to take your mind off of stuff. And if you can't sleep at all, I'll be here. That's why the shows are about an hour, so you have plenty of time to drift off. You don't have to worry. But also, if you can't sleep, you say, well, Scoots is going to be here. Yeah. And you could queue up episode after episode after episode if you need it. If you need me during the day, I'm here. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep. The reason I make this show, well, one, I've been there, tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting. I mean, clearly you say, well, if this is what's going through your brain when you're working, you say, yeah, I dared to dream a little dream that I had a retirement where I finally oiled machines. Well, I've been there. That's one of the reasons. I know how it feels in the deep, dark night. But the other reason is you're important and your sleep is important. And if I could distract you and keep you company while you drift off, it would really be my honor. Because it'll make your life, if I can make your life a tiny bit better, this really means a lot to me because I know how it feels on the other side. And if your life's better, our world is a better place. And not everybody believes that, but I do. So that's why I make the show. So that's that. Structure can also throw new listeners off or regular listeners. The structure's been the same for quite a few number of years. And more or less since episode maybe 150, generally we got the structure down. It starts with a greeting, so you feel welcome and seen. Then there's listener support. Then there's support for the show, so the show can be free. Then there's the intro. The intro is around 10 to 20 minutes long, where you just saw it. I go ahead, I try to talk about the podcast, and then I get distracted. It's a show within a show. Some people think it's the beginning of the show, but it's also, like, our show really is, I would hope in some sense it's beyond the time-space continuum because even though it's the beginning of the show, it could be any part of the show because it's really just here to keep you company while you get comfortable. But the reason there's a long intro is so that you can get eased into bedtime or you could get ready for bed. So the intro kind of creates a nice bit of time that you could set aside to use however you wish. You could skip it. 2 to 3% of people do that. You could be zooming off or drifting off, right? There's a percentage of people that do that. But for most people, the intro eases you into bedtime or is something you listen to while you're doing something else, relaxing or getting ready for bed or getting comfortable. So the new people kind of know, oh, this podcast is different, and you might not like it the first few times you listen to it. And the regular listeners go, oh, there goes Scoots, went off topic again, tried to start its podcast for the 1000th time, got distracted. So that's the intro. Then there's business. Again, that's how we keep the podcast going and free. And then there's our bedtime story. Tonight will be a discussion of an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. Don't worry if you've never seen it or you say it'll be very chill and indirect and relaxing. So we'll discuss that, and then there's thank yous. So that's the structure of the show. That's why I make the show. The only other piece of advice that comes up a lot is give the show a few tries because it just takes a couple of tries to realize, oh, wait a second, it is just like you said. You don't really listen to it and you don't really fall asleep. You just wake up the next day. So give it a few tries. Now, if you already know, you say, I just don't, if this podcast just isn't for you, you already know, you have a taste in your mouth like, yeah, this isn't for me. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you has a list of other sleep podcasts. Because whether it works for you or not, or whether you like me or the style of the show or not, your sleep is still important. So there's other sleep podcasts out there for you. But for now, give it a few tries and see how it goes. I mean, if you're like me and you've tried, you've had trouble your whole life, hopefully it can help you out. I'm really glad you're here. I really hope and strive, and I really want to help you fall asleep. And here's a couple ways I'm able to do it for you twice a week for free. Hey, everybody, Scoots. Before we move on here, I just want to let you know about sleep phones. I don't know if you've ever checked out our sleep phone store lately, sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. We've got custom sleep phones. We've got a bunch of new bands you could check out. It's the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me. Soft headphones in a headband, perfect for bedtime. They have 3 different models, a corded one, a wireless one, and then one with wireless charging. Listeners love them. I love them. I run in sleep phones. I use sleep phones when I sleep on the road. I keep a pair in my suitcase all the time. And you could get yours, the most comfortable way to listen to Sleep With Me, at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. And be sure to use the promo code Sleep With Me. It'll save you a little bit of money on your order. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones, and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, Scoots here, and we're talking about Season 6, Episode 26, the season finale, Descent, or Descent, Part 1. And we'll run through a little bit of my notes, and we'll run through the episode. It starts off with a poker game on the, it looks like it's in Data's room, actually, or Riker's room. I don't know whose room it is. But I just noticed that. I didn't write that down. But it's Newton, Data. So if you were Data, Newton would be on your right, Einstein would be on your left, and Stephen Hawking would be across the table from you playing poker. Stephen Hawking is owning the room. He's the funny one. Data does droid-splain Newton, apocryphal. They said, are they playing 5-card draw? It looks like it. Simple arithmetic, Newton, so irascible or something, irritable maybe. Illuminating. How's Data, I also had a question. How's Data's visor stay on his head? 4 of a kind for Hawking. He's very happy. Great smile. Then there's an alert comes in, end program. The Enterprise crosses our screen from left to right. We're on the bridge with Picard and Riker. There's a ship double question mark. Worf, Data, you're with me. We get great sound effects in Sky. In Sky? Will out past. I don't know what that is. Into outpost. Oh, outpost. Okay, yeah, they're going to. I thought the ship, but they're going to an outpost. So yeah, we do get great special effects and sound effects because we get this shot of the outpost, and the clouds are moving, and it's like a painted scene with motion. Really good job. Then we're in the outpost. We're Ferengi here. 274 assigned to outposts. It's a, what is that, Starfleet outpost, I think. Relay message from door opens, or replay message, Borg, open. Then there's a little Nerf battle. And a big ship versus the Enterprise, green versus orange. Those are the different, so they have like Nerf teams, green Nerfs versus orange Nerfs. And no one said, who you calling a Nerf herder? Because they said, Scoots, I don't think it's a Nerf herder. I think you misheard it. And I say, are you sure? Because that would make sense. You say, where did you get Nerf? Nerf is made from foam. No, it's made from Nerf fur. That was a Nerf herder. Nerf fur herder. Nerf. That could be like, what do you call a fluffernutter on Tatooine, Nerf herder. And you say that doesn't make any sense at all other than they sound. And I say, oh yeah, give me a Nerf herder. What are you making for lunch? Ray, my dear, what would you like for dinner? A Nerf herder or something else? Okay, anyway, sneak up, takeouts with Nerf. Data does some ninja moves, super powers. Riker watches under table. Then they all take off. They go to intercept. They vanish. Geordi has to study some stuff. Data's fists clenched. He's spaced out, or they're spaced out. Data, you all right? I got angry. Like the something. Okay, let's run it from there, and we'll see what else we see here. Okay, we got poker going. Hawking's like cracking jokes so that I don't, well beyond my understanding, and Newton's, or a funny story, I guess. Isaac Newton's only got one. Isaac Newton's kind of like me, but smarter. He's like, Data's droid explaining to him the joke, don't patronize me. I invented physics when the apple fell on my head. Maybe I don't know if his programming's too accurate or not accurate enough. Apocryphal story it is. How dare you? Okay, let's get back to the game. Einstein says Data gives Einstein the side eyes. Hawking had raised, it's 10 to Einstein. He can't add 3 and 7, I guess. So does he call? Let's see. I don't know. He says, what's the point of this ridiculous game? That's Newton. Oh, and Data says, it gives me insight into people's humanity playing games. Curious to see how we play. History's great minds would interact in this setting. Most illuminating and profitable for Einstein, he says. You say, okay, let's get it going. So I guess he called, Hawking raises 50, Newton folds, Data folds, and Einstein has to call. He thought it was an uncertainty principle, but, and he calls. But I mean, he's right to call because, like, I don't know what Einstein even has, but the odds of a 4 of a kind and 5-card draw are really low. So he says, bummer. Oh, wait, I can kind of see. Let me just go back there. If I can kind of see Einstein's cards. Then they call him in. Okay, it looks like he has 3 of a kind or maybe even a full house. Like maybe he has, what are those? 3, 6, 9, 2 9s, and then maybe not. I don't know. Impossible for me to tell. Data's got to go to work. He ends the program. His visor's still on. His visor is not an illusion. It's real. It's on his head, but not on his ears. And then we see the Enterprise. It actually went from back left to front right. And they got some outposts. Oniaka. And let's call everybody. Well, we're in the system. Bring us out of wharf. Here's another ship orbiting the planet. Configuration doesn't match our records. Okay, stand by. Hail them. No response. Put it on screen. Does not appear. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they got here before us. Maybe the ship's been... Maybe ships, there's like electromagnetic interference. Data's typing away. Riker heads off. He does he moves his body when he makes turns. I don't know if that's because of his back aches or just like a character thing. Then we get the nice shot of the outpost from outside. Then we're inside. We see a lot of snoozing. Forced plasma nerfing. Could have been like Ferengi were here before. Doesn't look like they were following nerf protocols for nerfing. And, yeah. I say, okay, well, let's start looking around, Riker says. And they start patrolling. People are snoozing. And then Data goes to open a door. It's jammed. The mechanism's jammed. And, okay. And then, eventually he does some, hacking. He gets it open. Bypass the primary system. And then there's a Borg there. The Borg is static. So first you say, bum, bum, bum. Oh, whoops, I pressed the wrong button. So I just went to the next episode. Don't worry, though. Get it back here. So door opens. I was trying to skip the intro. That'll teach me. But then the whole nerfing erupts. Green nerf, Data, orange nerf scores a point. Then 3 more Borg come. Riker's under a table. Worf is running like things with another Starfleet officer. Geordi and Picard are dealing with stuff. Evasive maneuvers and shields at 80. Auxiliary power. Riker's pinned down. Data goes to they do a little nerf sorting as with nerf sabers. Riker scores a point. They say, that was Torsus, man. My bestie. He runs off. Then someone's scanning. They say Klingon, human, biological. Then the Borg score a point. Worf scores one right back. Then Data does more nerf lightsabering, but he starts grabbing, uses his super strength and speed to tie all their nerf sabers into knots. And he says, stop nerfing, stop. He's irritated. He even has a look on his face. And this is kind of the underpinnings of these episodes. He's glaring. Then he gets scanned. Artificial life form, Lieutenant Commander, name Data. But that must have been look. And Riker sees all this. He says, well, that's interesting. And then they transport away. And then the ship takes off. The Enterprise tries to go after it, but after subspace analysis, it disappears. And that's when Geordi's like, all right, I'm going to have to go back and do some studying of this. Something strange happened. And I see, Geordi, you're always the best Geordi you could be. And I'll have to do something. Picard says, well, let's go back to Oniak. We go back there. We see the sky again. Then we see Data clenching his fist as Riker climbs out. Goes, Data, you okay? Data's like, I don't know. You think I got angry? And that's where my note said, like the Hulk. Then let's see. I'll stay with the screen for now. Captain's log 46982.1. Because of his unusual behavior, Data's been temporarily relieved of duty by his request. This means he can't help us investigate this change in Borg behavior. So we have a meeting. They're fast, almost like Klingons. They're nerfing like Klingons. No offense, none taken to Worf. I don't think they were part of the collective, Riker says. They were acting as individuals. They had names, used I. They showed concern. Taurusis, and Troy says, I thought Hugh was the only named Borg, and we gave it the name. Dr. Crusher says, maybe this is us. They say, any interest in assimilation? No, not interested in assimilation. Not even interested. It was strange. No, they didn't seem like they wanted to assimilate anybody or anything. And then they say, well, if they're not interested in assimilation, what in the... We're making an assimilate out of you and me. And they said, what are you talking about, Scoots? They say, Picard says, okay, well, get ready in case something strange happens. Let's analyze some of our readings and see, did they construct this ship or was it an alien ship? How did they do the subspace stuff? I got to get a hold of Starfleet Command. Then Geordi's running Data's brain, positronic net, check it. Looks good. Everything looks fine. Data says, yeah, everything on my end's fine too. Nothing to indicate anything strange. Behavioral anomalies. I agree. This is a great interchange if you want to ever watch it. It's at like around 11 minutes. Data says, I think I had my first emotion. And Jordy says, well, how would you know? Like a power surge versus anger. And Data says, yeah, I have no frame of reference to confirm my hypothesis. I can't even describe it. Can you describe what it feels like? And then I could use that as a frame of reference. And Jordy goes, okay, well, kind of feels like, first I feel, this is like sleep with me. First I feel like hostile and belligerent. I think he says, can you describe feeling hostile? Well, yeah, like feeling belligerent. And Data says, can you describe feelings without referring to other feelings? And Jordy says, oh boy, he even smiles. He says, that's deep, man. Nope, I can't do it. I just feel it. And he uses his hands in a way, and Data replicates how he uses his hands and says, yeah, I simply 3-hand motion felt it. And then Jordy says, well, if it was a real emotion, how's that possible? Data goes, I don't know. Maybe evolution? And it's in my grasp. Maybe I'll get some more emotions. And Jordy goes, I hope you're right, because I don't want you to have like one emotion or feeling. And that gets Data's attention. Then we got Captain's Log, 46984.6 or something. Nothing happened. We got Admiral here to take command in the sector, just to be ready. And then the Admiral, she's like, we got 15 starships on the way here. The Gorkin's mine. You'll be in Task Force 3. And she says, by the way, I know what happened with this Hugh. The report you submitted, she says, WTF, man. Like you had a Borg, you could have, programmed it with sleep mode for all Borg and put all Borg to sleep. And you brought it on board, analyzed it, you had a solution, and you sent it back and you didn't do it. And she says, you nursed it back to health. What do you, she says this like a radio host. Oh, you're so kind. And, Picard says, listen, Hugh became sentient, was not an automaton. It was a person. And I felt I had no choice. Those are the rules. Respect his rights as an individual. She goes, you had a choice. This was an opportunity. And she goes, a Borg, they're just trying to paint in broad strokes. And Picard says, yeah, I'm aware of it. But I have an oath and a conscience. I'm bound by those to uphold certain principles. And he goes, well, I'm not going to. And she goes, your priority is the Federation's citizens, not your own conscience. Now, I want to make it clear. You got an order. Borg are not our friends. You understand? Picard goes, understood. He definitely glares. He even stands up to say it. She goes, chain of command. He goes, okay, chain of command taken. But they hold on him. Then we have Troy and Data meeting, talking about trying to, this is a really good scene too. Said I tried to listen to operas to be uplifting. Or tried to watch some humor, tried to get my back sweating 4 times. Did that work? Nope, back did not sweat. Troy's laughing. I'm curious, why are you not leaning into the emotion you already experienced? Also, if this is her office, it's really nice. It has some nice, like, pink windows. And then they go into this thing that all humans deal with. Oh, is this getting your, getting your temperature rising? Is that a good thing or a bad thing or a gray thing? She's trying to be like every therapist and say, hey, let's get away from all or nothing thinking. And Data goes, well, isn't it not good? And she goes, well, is it what you do with the feelings or strong emotions or the actions related to them. And she goes, you got to explore your feelings. You don't have to lead to action based on the feelings. And he goes, but what if it does? What if those are the only emotions I'm capable of experiencing? Does that mean I'm a bad person? And she goes, oh boy. She gets up, sits down next to Data. And she goes, we've worked together a long time. You're not a bad person, so I know you pretty well. She goes, that's a trope, to control behavior. She doesn't say that, but he goes, okay, well, I wish I was as confident as you, counselor. And he goes, yeah, when I was getting that bored, I got really irritable. When I think back on it, he goes, there was another sensation there, like a cathartic pleasure. He goes, is that an emotion? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but she goes, wait a second, cathartic pleasure. And he goes, yeah, something like that. But the whole scene is very well acted and performed. She goes, if you had to give it a name, what would you call it? And he says, pleasure. I believe it was. And it's a real slow delivery. Then there's long on Troy's reaction, and that goes to a commercial. Let me run through my notes here. Oh, unusual. Oh, Captain's log, unusual. New change in Borg. Meeting Klingon Knob Borg. The only Borg with a name was Hugh, not interested in assimilation, ! Contact Starfleet Command. Geordi checks out that positronic net. My first emotion. You are confident or conflicted. Geordi feels hostile, like belligerent, without referring to other feelings. I just feel... both use hands, ! 1240. I do not know. He's got datas to give a look on. I don't want you to think that all your feelings. Oh, other stiffened up, Starfleet, Task 4-3. Very dramatic. Admiral. Bored, bound by my oath and conscience. You're under orders. Proud to stand, yes. Doubt on face. Data and Troy. Pink windows or shades? Yeah, shades. 4 attempts. ! Troy amused. Anger. Negative. Malice. Data has it's like Data has anxiety about it. He's experiencing another feeling, like anxiety and rumination. She sits next to him. Deeper look. Other emotion. I felt something. Pleasure. Troy look. Then there's an ad break. Riker action. New believe 13 minutes canceled third time today. Tell them to read the manual. 16 hours of patrol. Riker studies Hugh. Riker has anything. It could be anything. Picard is hot. I want answers, ! I let him go. Risky, dragnet, but moral, but not right. Riker look, Hugh screen. Geordi code snoop. Geordi code snoop on Data and Borg. Or I interrupting, huh? Can I call you first? Too strong on Borg. Will you help me duplicate the conditions? Oh, Geordi's so concerned he uses like his high voice, like when I answer the phone or I call someone, like, can I make a dentist appointment? That's my high voice. Hi, could I speak to the manager? My life, I'm your friend. Another alert, M51 located the ship, subspace distortion, not going to get away. Vanish every matrix, pulled in wall, wormhole purple, normal space, celestial fixed. Bring ship ahead, shields at 16%, Borg on board, wharf effect, Foundling Big Farm, Franklin Big Farm, ship is gone, left them. This one is here. Dr. Crusher, full recovery. Wake him, do it all right. Picard talks to Croesus, Crowsus, not how you spell it. Not how you spell it. By the one, touches the energy wall. Does he have a name? Hugh. Close out the other one. Check out this one, Data. All alone. I do not wish to be. He uses some kind of arm button to do something to Data. Total hypnotization in weird voice. Data, do you have a friend? Geordi. Yes, I would. Geordi, Picard, Riker, and Picard, a fast-moving river. Told about Grappley's, shuttle out, WTF, great look at Worf's hair. Grant Picard to Riker look and Commander Data, zoinks. They lean in, WTF, whoosh, ad. So yeah, let's go through some of that coverage there. Let's see, so we're ending on, Troy's face, and Riker, he goes there, he says, hey, everybody comes to the thing, do the colony, these are like these false alarms, ETA, 15 minutes, get ready, New Berlin canceled the call, and that's when they said, it was a trading ship, everybody's worried, third time today. Tell him to read the manual. Picard's already irritable, but he gets hotter. You know, he got really criticized by the Admiral falsely, but no reports of Borg, tensions high, exterior shot of, and I said, do I have a name? Watching the Hugh video. Picard's watching it. I'm Beverly, he's Geordi, you're Hugh. Says 7 hours, 19 minutes, and 1 second. Start at 4855.4. Riker comes in. Check out this report on this Game Boy. Artificially created energy conduit. Could be anything. That doesn't even mean anything. That's when Picard says, I want answers. And Riker says, oh boy, he lifts his chin. Sorry about that. I just, he was here. What did I do? His, Picard's fish goes swimming by in the background, too. And Riker says it was risky, but it was, there was a choice you made, the right choice, a moral choice. And Picard says, yeah, well, the moral choice might not be the right choice, so it will. And they both get good looks. They look at Hugh, paused. Then Geordi's going, I don't know what he's doing, going to spy on Data. He lets himself right into a private holodeck moment. See, that's a terrible, I would say it's a terrible idea. And that's when we see Data tying up a Nerf lightsabers or whatever. But he can't get the right mix of a Nerf, without a passcode. But Geordi's like, dude, what are you doing? And Data goes, tying up Nerf things. He goes, well, why would you do that? We got to get to work. And Data goes, okay, I can get back to work. But he goes, what is going on in here? Because there's millions and millions of knotted Nerf, like kind of like pool noodles. And he's like, this is like strange behavior even for you, Data. And Data goes, well, can we finish this up? And he goes, okay, I need a stronger pool noodle. Index 2.1, 20% stronger. And Jordy goes to sit down. Still not strong enough. So he goes, even stronger. And the computer goes, can't do it without an override code. And Data goes, there's something about those Borg pool noodles. They had a tensile strength we can't simulate here without using two codes. And Jordy goes, well, the computer won't let you because you could strain your fingers, and we need your fingers on board, Data. Plus, I'm your friend. You might want to use them for other things, like writing, playing the piano, petting your cat. So, yeah, can't approve that, no. Yeah, I don't know. Let's duplicate the conditions, though, of the original incident as closely as possible. Jordy goes, Data, we're talking about an experiment here. And Data goes, I've been waiting my whole life to feel emotion. If I get not a pool noodles to feel emotion, I'm going to do it. Jordy goes, this doesn't make any sense. You're quantifying pool noodles and feelings. And he goes, this is almost like this Data goes, this is the only stimuli I found that make me feel the way I feel. And Jordy goes, well, I'm your friend. I can't just let you sit around here nodding pool noodles. Then they get called in. They say, something's going on. Get back to base. We see the Enterprise go from left to right. MS Colony, we got to go help it. Isn't it strange, though? There's been a bunch of these when we're close, and then they disappear. They said Borg ship's heading away. Let's follow that ship, lock on it. Let's all sit down, or at least Riker and I. And we see the Borg ship. They try to follow it, full impulse, lock on that thing. We're closing 30 seconds. Then there's a subspace distortion. And let's not let him get away. Picard to engineering, get all the power. Impulse, acknowledge, 125%. All right, 10 seconds, Worf needs, but then it vanishes. And there's some sort of energy matrix. Engines back. They get pulled in. So they go through this energy matrix, and it's digitized, and I guess they go to a commercial. Then we see them going through a purple cloud. And there's a bit more stuff, vibration and stuff. It slows down, and then they come out of it in normal space and have a celestial fixated tries with secondary systems. Borg ships and head turn around, put it on screen. Their shields are only at 16%. It's coming straight at them. And they send this green thing there, and then the Borg are on board. And do a nerf out. Each Borg scores once, Worf scores twice. And everybody's like, holy cow, Data's doing some acting. Franklin's been nerfed. Aye, sir. No one else on board. Borg ship is gone. Maybe that was a distraction and diversion to give him a chance to get away. Another change in Borg behavior. They left everybody behind, and they said this one is these Borg are just resting, or this one Borg is. That's when Dr. Crusher is looking it over. Riker says, Picard says, wake it up. I want to talk to it. And she says, well, I don't know. And he goes, wake it up, or do it. He actually says, holy Nike, swoosh, do it. And Picard and Data are standing behind him. Looks like he has two transistors on the side of his head. Lower the force field. They go out. Worf and Dr. Crusher go out, and then they put the field back up. And Picard goes, "What's your designation?" "I don't got a designation. I'm Croesus." Picard looks behind him. "Croesus? What kind of name's that?" "My name. Where'd you get it from?" "The One gave it to me." "Who's the One?" "You're the one that's going to deal with everything." He goes, "But you're Borg. Don't you assimilate? What happened to your assimilation joys?" And then it says biological organisms, human, Klingon. And then Picard goes, "Does the one have a name? Is it Hugh? Is Hugh doing all this?" And he goes, what's up with this one? Picard wants to know. Also good effects. He goes, "By the way, I'm Locutus of Borg. Answer my questions." And the Crotus or whatever just stares at him. Picard's exasperated. This is going nowhere. He goes, let's see what we can learn from the other, he goes, "Let's see if there's any modifications on these Borg that are causing behavioral differences. Data, do a biospectral analysis, check for subspace signals, and get on it." And Data rolls up on Crotus or whatever, or Locrotus or whatever. He goes, "Hey, you're not like the others." He goes, "We could assimilate you." Data goes, "No, thanks." And that's when he does this thing on his wrist, which clearly is messing with Data. He goes, "What about all those feelings you always wanted, Data?" And it starts to do the hypnotic voice. "The one who helped me can help you too, help you find emotion, like real emotions. And I can second that emotion if you want to. Have you felt anything?" And Data goes, "Yeah, I feel a pleasure when I tie up knots, when I knot up pool noodles." He goes, "How does it feel to feel pleasure when you knot pool noodles?" And Data goes, "Well, pleasurable, I guess." And he goes, "Well, wouldn't you want to do that all the time?" Data goes, "It wouldn't be ethical." He goes, "If it feels good, who cares about duty and ethics?" He goes, "If it's unethical to get pleasure from pool noodles, then," he goes, "you're unethical, doesn't?" And he's like, then he goes, "No, you're messing with me. That's not correct." Meanwhile, there's somebody like checking their email and a computer in the background. Data goes, "I have a program of right and wrong, and wasting pool noodles is part of my conscience. I got to do more than just sit around tying up pool noodles." And Croesus says, "Well, I guess it wasn't working when you were on Oniaka 1 or whatever." And Data goes, "Quit messing with me. Your proximity is interfering with my scan." And he goes, "Well, sorry, I was just thinking about pool noodles. You notice my eye? It has a cool effect on it." Goes, "Wow, just thinking about those knotting of pool noodles." Data goes, "Yeah, it was a very potent experience for me." He goes, "You'd like to feel that way again?" Data says, "Yes." He goes, "You'd do anything, huh? Even give up your best friendship with Geordi?" Data goes, "No, Geordi's my best friend." He goes, "Oh, because I thought he was Hugh's best friend too." He goes, "You don't sound very sure of yourself. Are you sure your ethical thing is functioning?" And he goes, "Data, do you have a friend named Geordi? Would you give up your friend to not pool noodles?" And Data goes, "Yes, I would." And that means if you could feel a pool noodle between your hands again, like Oniaka 3. And we're through the looking glass because Data says, "Oh, I'd like to touch a pool noodle again and feel it not, beneath my hands. I would." Then we see Parked Enterprise. Riker, Geordi, and Picard are working on this transwarp conduits through subspace, exprolated and delta quadrants. warp velocity, like a fast-moving river swept away by the currents. How fast? Jordy goes, oh, no idea. He goes, just beyond normal subspace. He goes, you could go 20 times faster, maybe. Maximum warp. How does it work? Some sort of tachyon pulse, maybe. I don't know. I mean, this could change everything, just this knowledge. I'm surprised there. I'm like, holy cow. Could you duplicate that? Then they say, hey, shuttlecraft took off. What the heck? Nobody gave it permission. Picard goes, yo, what are you doing, shuttlecraft? Get back here. No answer. Lock on a tractor beam. Tractor beam's broken. Or something. Yeah. Disabled. Somebody unplugged it. Oh, boy. And they go, there's a tachyon surge in the shuttle. It's going to trigger their conduit. And they go, wait a second. Who's on there? Riker goes, or they go, the Borg and Commander Data. And it swooshes off. And then Riker, Picard, and Worf watch. And what do we say? Can we follow? We might. Data override. Flash of emotion. More profoundly. Jordy, can we simulate it? Last known. Action. Energizing the matrix. Lower bandwidth. Secondary bandwidth. Alternating frequencies. This is one thing I learned from watching this season that I'm doing. If you need to change something up, alternate your frequencies. That works a lot of cases. It works fluctuation, 1/2 impulse, something 67%, repeat 65 light years. Oh dear. Big sigh. No shuttle. Riker and Geordi, 2 advanced civilizations, no signs, plasma. Wait, Riker found it, 247 Mark 059, full impulse. Tannish planet with clouds that are jamming the sensors. Is it somebody? No, it's natural. Trans something, more size. Take a right. That doesn't make sense. Just take the something. Permanent lock. Two something. Oh, 2 moons on the planet, but no sign of Borg or Data. It's like a sepia version of the California coastal hills. There's brush and nice trees, sepia tones. How for 3 hours? How far in 3 hours? Borg are not very fast, so 15 to 20 kilometers. Geordi asks, who's going to be in command? Dr. Crusher. And now it's Captain Crusher, and there's a little bit of stress on her face, then a smile, then a deep breath. Then we have Riker setting out the plan, searching the hills. It's kind of like they're going hiking. And then they're about to crest a hill. They lie down in the grass before they get to the top to scan and talk about stuff. But Troy's at the top of the hill. She sees a strange building. Come on. Thick grass, gnarled trees, and it was very Getty. And I think this is probably pre-Getty. I know maybe season 6 was the same time as the Getty, but I'm not sure. Trying to think if the Getty opened in the 90s, like 97, or if it was just getting built in 97. I think I went there in 97, but maybe not till like 99. Yeah, maybe it was just getting built in 96, 97. But anyway, there's a door or hatch around the corner. There's good wind sounds. They go in like a lobby, like kind of like more of like a hall, marble hall, banners, flags, a podium. It's a meeting place, Troy says. But there's some sort of star cases or dampening fields or something. Let's go. And all of a sudden, a ton of Borg show up, and they're cheering like a bit like Klingons. And they say, stop. They do a quick nerf off with one of the nameless Starfleet officers, and then Data appears, and then Troy says, that's not Data, it's Velvet Lore. And he goes, right, but I'm not alone. And then Data appears, and they go, the Sons of Soong and their Borg crew. Kind of like Pirate's Life for me. I said I could write some fan fiction, the Sons of Soong. So that's how it ends in my notes. So, but let's run through it. Picard, can we follow? Geordi says, I got a pretty good reading. Might be able to duplicate it. And then they see his Data going on purpose, or, was he overridden? And they say it could be either one. But Picard says, well, his recent emotion may have something to do with this. Could have affected him more profoundly than we realize. So we got to find him. And Geordi goes, I got a matrix set up. I think I can copy it. They go, okay, Worf, everybody get ready. We're going to do something unproven and, before. So let's do it. Energize the matrix, Geordi. Okay, first he tries lower bandwidth. It doesn't work. Nothing unusual. Okay, let me do secondary bandwidth. Nothing. Well, let me alternate the frequencies. Next time, try that first. It'll work. Or says, okay, there's some sort of fluctuation here. You're right. Directly in front of us, a subspace distortion. Okay, take us in. They go in, power's down 67%. They put up some auxiliary power, and then they're out of it almost instantaneously. And traveled 65 light years from previous position. Holy mackerel. Picard's like, that's not good. You're going to wonder where we went. Well, let's find the shuttle at least. No, we can't find it. Riker says, I can figure this out. Do an energy signature. Okay, Geordi's working on scans. He goes, they're all, like, he says, there's two civilizations here. No population, though. And then plasma used, traces and nerf. Riker goes, Borg have been busy. Riker finds the shuttle energy signature. And Worf says, this is where it's at. Lay the course, full impulse. Then we get the Enterprise goes over our left shoulder, orbiting counterclockwise, I guess. Tracing it. They're still doing some analysis at the computers. Intentionally jamming. Nah, natural jamming, man. Magnetosphere. Okay, can we transport through it? Yeah, but it'll be a surprise when we get down there. Guard breathes, looks at Will. We got to do it, boss. Okay, yeah, I think so too. Send out a bunch of tough away team and permanent lock on your signal so you can get out of there with trouble. Worf, you're with me. They go down. We see two moons. Grass, the shuttle, they're looking around. No sign of any Borg or Data. Shuttle's been abandoned. EM interference is limiting our tricorder range, so useless beyond 100 meters. Can't find any structures. They could be anywhere. This is where you say, okay, wow, they're smart. Well, how fast can they walk? The shuttle was the Elbaz. Engine's been off for 3 hours. Okay. Geordi, okay, 15 to 20 kilometers. Isn't that like, I guess that makes sense. 3 hours. No, the furthest you could go would be about 10 kilometers, I think. But anyway, not important. All right, Riker. I'm going to send down other away teams, set up a command post, map a search plan. I'll be in touch. Geordi, use the shuttlecraft for low-level reconnaissance, send some pilots. Everybody, even you and me, are going down there, buddy. We're going to put together four people away teams and leave a few people on board. Who's going to be in charge? And then Dr. Crush said, any last orders? Well, if anybody comes, don't wait around. Get out of here. Go back to Federation space. Okay, got it. Good luck, Jean-Luc. Good luck, Captain. And they kind of smile. I'm like, what did I miss the past couple seasons? And then Riker's going over his map. 12 teams are out looking. You're going to be, we're going to be in Theta 1-6. Wallace and Towles are on command post. So it's Geordi, Troy, Picard, and some, rando. They're out in the Sepia Hills. Kind of looks, it could be LA or Berkeley or, San Diego area. And they're going up a hill. Looks nice. I mean, I said I've hiked in these hills before or something similar. Probably wouldn't hike up where they're hiking just because it's unnecessarily steep. They lie down. Okay, how are we going to find them? We need a Renaissance fluctuation in Data's power cells or something. And then hone in on it. Maybe talk to Data's positronic and that. I don't know. And then Troy's like, I see something. And then Troy's like, I see something. It looks like the Getty, but more modern. It's got a couple flying buttresses even. And they say, really? Flying buttress? She goes, yeah, no, it does. So they say, let's get I love flying buttresses. Picard says, I'm French, so let's go look at it. And they get too close to be able to see the flying buttresses. But they say, who built this rock and roll? No, not Borg either. No energy signatures from the Borg. But there is a door hatch 20 meters this way, so let's check that out. Check it 1-2. So they go around the side, they go into the hall. There's a couple ATMs or something. Like they're a little bit smaller, but they look like a modern, or maybe water machines. There's some like balconies, marble, black marble, kind of like a silver marble, some sort of what do they call those? Borg symbol. But then they say, okay, we can't get any signatures in here. The light sources don't have any power. And Picard goes, dude, it's a dampening field. Come on, Geordi. The lights are on. We better get moving. And that's when the whole the Borg are much more boisterous. Boisterous Borg. A bevy of boisterous Borg appear. And they nerf the one person that's with them that's not famous. And then Lore says, stop. He's cloaked in velvet, or what looks like velvet to me. It could be just, yeah, it does look like velvet, though. Not crushed velvet. More of a, like, he'd be great. He would really absorb sound in his outfit. It'd be great for, like, lining a room in Lore's outfits. Be perfect for broadcasting a podcast. And he says, here's Data. Sons of Soong have joined together, and together we're going to rule with our crew of Borg. And all the Borg, yeah. They start chanting along. Oh, yo ho, Borg type life for me. Season's cliffhangers life for thee who was watching. Not for you, though. I'll be back in just a short episode from now to talk about this second half of this. I mean, in an episode cycle. So there'll be a Tuesday style episode, then a written episode, and then another TNG episode. So I'll be back soon. Good night. All right, I want to thank everybody who reviewed the show recently on Apple Podcasts. Al said ADHD guided zone out to sleep solution. So listen to podcasts. The first time it didn't hit me, but then I came back to it the next week. Been listening ever since. ADHD in my brain, it gets busy, and he literally takes the time to get half your attention and meanders and change the subject before your brain starts jumping around. And I normally fall asleep in 20 to 30 minutes. Thanks. Best for a racing brain at bedtime. This is from Bell's Beth. Don't listen. If I don't listen to podcasts every time because my mind starts to think about everything going on right now. The podcast, I just listen to Scooter ramble until I fall asleep or pass out. If you get sleepy in college lectures, this podcast will put you right to sleep. I had the flu and I listened to the podcast. I've been a big time sleep with me convert ever since. Fun fact, I listened to this podcast during 2 different sleep studies, and the only reason I was allowed to, those are not easy to sleep in. This comes from Nurse, bruh. I've been dealing, just like a boar bro would say, bruh. I've been dealing with insomnia for the past few weeks. Randomly tried this podcast snooze fest, 10 out of 10. Meaningless drivel down to a science. He was talking about Radio Shack catalogs. That's my mix-up. Radio Shack catalogs from 1983. Can't remember anything after that. X Bliss from the UK says works for me. Although I thought it wouldn't last for a couple of minutes, I find the scooter sends me to sleep pretty quick. I'm a maestro. I'm a stereo, or maestro, or sister maestro. Didn't like the show at first. Now I can't live without it. I realize it doesn't make me special, but a lot of people have had the same experience. And they send love. Marie says effective and creative, like listening to podcasts on Sunday nights. Oh boy, that's a night for me too. Puts me to sleep. And yeah, that's everything. Thanks everybody for taking the time to review the podcast. I really appreciate it. And here's a little bit about, Sleep With Me is free because the people that support the sponsors support the show directly. And we grow this podcast by people spreading the word about the podcast or just about podcasting in general. I always appreciate that because it helps everybody. But I'm going to tell you a bit about our referral program coming up here. But thanks so much for listening and good night. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. Before I tuck in, I just want to let you know about our referral program. That's where you can get great rewards for free, just referring people to the podcast. And you can do that at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. And you just let people know about the podcast. Use this special link. You share it on social media or wherever, you share online. And you could even earn ad-free episodes and the way to get into our, our like little secret club that there's really no way to get into unless you hear an opportunity or you see an opportunity that I announce. And that's our wall of fame and our Dream Door Society. And Cornelia is already well beyond that in referrals. So it's very, very possible. And I haven't checked it in the last couple of weeks, but I'm sure a couple other people are up there getting close. But it all starts with that first referral. And you just let people know, hey, this is a podcast that helps me fall asleep, that I enjoy listening to. That's at sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, REFER. Thanks, everybody.
From PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whether you're a fan of theme parks or amusement parks or, the old bemusement park, it's time for, or you're bemused in a park, or you're bemused by my lack of snark. It's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that may or may not put you to sleep. Hey, everybody, before the show gets started here, I just want to let you know that Sleep With Me exists because of empathy and compassion. The empathy and compassion we all share from being in the deep, dark night, tossing and turning, the understanding that it can be painful. And sometimes that involves like bigger things than just our own sleep problems. And so if you're in your need, if you're in extra need right now, sorry, I had trouble speaking, but because I guess because I get tight sometimes because this really is important to me. Empathy and compassion, dignity and respect, and taking that extra step if you need extra help right now, and being a part of positive change. So there's links to organizations, if you need extra help right now, there's links to organizations you could connect with right now. And if you want to be a part of positive change, say Black Lives Matter with your actions. Say stop AAPI hate with your actions. Be a part of positive change. There's links to resources right in our show notes. And these sponsors right here are what enable me to be here for you twice a week for free. Thanks. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here. I'm trying to get these patron messages as quick as I can. But if you use it on a regular basis, if you listen to a lot of episodes of Sleep With Me, especially compared to other stuff you pay for as a subscription, if you count on Sleep With Me and you're in a position to do so, only if you're in a financial position to do so, maybe you cut back on a streaming service, or maybe say, you know what, Scoots is worth eating out one less lunch a month or two less lunches a month. I want to support Sleep With Me at $10 or $20 a month. That would be huge. It also feels good. I mean, that's just something patrons regularly tell me, how good it feels to be a rebel with a cause. And you could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. I also want to talk about some of the stuff from the last few months that the patrons gave me feedback about, is having something to listen to 5 nights a week. Every school night, every work night. Sunday night, brand new episode. Monday night, story only episode. So no music. And Tuesday night, another story only episode. People love those. Wednesday night, another brand new episode. And then on Thursdays, $10 and $20 patrons get another episode. Usually it's either an exclusive bonus show or an all intro show or a 4, 6, 8 hour compilation show. So think about it. Think about how much you get out of Sleep With Me. Maybe some of those patron bonuses appeal to you too, because I know the patrons, they tell me how much they love it. Story only episodes and night after night after night of content ready to go. You could sign up at sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Be a rebel with a cause. Pay for a free podcast because it feels good. You get something back. And if you're not in a position to do so, or you don't want to, that's totally okay too. I totally understand. And either way, whether you support the show or not, it'll be here for you, because I've been there in the deep dip. Last night, oh boy, I'll save it for an intro. But so sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Apollo Neuro. You've heard me talk about this device. I went this summer. I didn't bring my Apollo Neuro when I was out of town on a family road trip, and I really missed it. I could even see it with my tracking on my watch of my HRV. But if you haven't heard of Apollo Neuro, it's a new wearable that helps you sleep more and stress less. It's absolutely amazing. Apollo Neuro's proven technology helps calm your nerves and clear your mind, melting away stress so you can sleep. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system. It uses touch therapy to help you wind down into a restful state without drugs or side effects. I use it as part of my wind down, and then I also use the sleep mode. It's worn on the wrist or the ankle, and Apollo Neuro delivers silent, soothing vibrations that help you fall asleep and stay asleep. Apollo Neuro was developed by a neuroscientist and board-certified psychiatrist who has been studying the impacts of chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years. Apollo's effects have been proven in multiple clinical trials and real-world studies, and according to our research, Apollo Neuro users experience on average 19% more time in deep sleep, 14% increase in REM sleep, and 40% less stress and feelings of anxiety. And you can get 10% off your Apollo Neuro today at apolloneuro.com/sleepwithme. That's 10% off at APOLLONEURO.com/sleepwithme. Apollo neuro.com/sleepwithme. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you to hear. It's where I pop my peas, if you please. It's where I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors, and that's how I'm able to be here for you free twice a week. And I want to thank Rachel, who supported Bombas, and Stephanie, who supported Literati. Those are 2 sponsors that just kind of finished up the run. They're probably reassessing. So if you supported Bombas or Literati, please let them know about it, or any other sponsor. That's a key thing, so they know their partnership is valuable, is using our code, using our link, and then letting them know about it again. That way they know, wow, these people really care that we support this podcast, and that's what makes them stick around. So please, if you supported Literati or Bombas or any other sponsor, let them know about it. Be like Rachel, be like Stephanie, let them know about it, let me know about it, and I could try to thank you here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone. And if you fill out the form at sleepymepodcast.com/sponsors and let the sponsor know about it, I could send you some stickers, just like Rachel and Stephanie next month. Thanks. Second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need. If you're in extra need right now, there's links to resources you can use right in the show notes. It's also about supporting the members of our community, saying Black Lives Matter, saying stop AAPI hate. It's about taking action, be a part of positive change. And one of the organizations I support, thanks to listeners who let me know about it, is 1,000 Women Strong on Instagram and on Twitter. You could go to 1K Women Strong. 1,000 Women Strong is a national constituency platform centered around the civic and communal progress and advancement of Black women. And they have webinars going and more information, and you could either check them out on social media or use the link I'll post in our show notes. And that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Oh, Mystery Bart, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bart. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook